What's going on, Tamers? Welcome to DigiPod, the digital podcast. I'm your boy, Varney Cast, today in the studio with Dan the Plan and Mike and Yikes. This is the talk show, the podcast, DigiPod, the digital podcast, where we talk about all the takes, the good and the bad of the Digimon card game. What has Bandai done recently to piss us off? Or what have they done to make us happy? Find out today on Dragon Ball Z. Oh, wait, I'm not a Dragon Ball Z announcer. Hold on, let me slow down, roll it back. We are live on Twitch and on YouTube, so shout out to our Twitch and YouTube audience. The Beelzebub Baron on YouTube. Does Mike ever play in the Knockout Series tourneys? He's the last DGU member I get to play. Mike doesn't play Digimon. That's casual Mike you're looking at, right?
God.
You know what? What am I doing? Not Mike and Yikes. This is casual Mike and casual
Anyway,
Dan.
let me answer this question real quick. I used to play in the Knockout Series, and I just haven't in a long time. My Friday nights, not Knockout Series, my bad, TBL. I haven't played a Knockout Series in a hot minute.
Your mic switched again, Daniel.
Yeah, what the fuck? See, I told you it wasn't me, Marty, it's Dan.
Dan, get a new computer.
But no, I've never played in the Knockout Series. Well, we can play. You just hit me up. DM me on Discord. I'll play you.
The Petrified Kit says the list broke one of the spirits of a player at my locals. Damn, what were they playing, Petrified?
What the fuck?
Were they playing Yellow Vaccine? Are they upset that TK was hit?
I'll tell you exactly what they're probably playing some jank Rookie Rush variant with all 8 Ukomons. And
Right.
That's what they were meaning, and that's what broke them. Because I know I'd be upset.
King Vike says getting to see Dan carry live once again. There you go, Dan. Dan the Plan. Why you change your name back?
I would if my shit would be.
Yeah, your mic is all scuffed right now, bro. You know how much editing I'm gonna have to do in post to fix your audio? Oh, he left.
Dan's dead. Yep.
Yep. Well, okay. Well, it's the Mike and Varney show. now I can change your name back to Mike and Yikes, because Dan's not here, so we don't have to call you Casual Mike anymore.
That's a good point.
Oh, there's Dan the Plan.
Can't talk
Dan the Man.
Okay.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah, for now. I don't know what's up right now. But you know, Dan's always carrying, so we're here until we're not here, I guess.
Only thing he can't do is carry himself to a win at a locals.
Wow, okay. All right. Shots fired, all right.
Damn! Yo. Damn!
That dual disc? That's fucking sick.
Yes, it is.
That's
I
fucking
might
damn
not
right.
have
It's a
won
dual
one in
disc.
a while, but shit, I still got way more wins than you, Mike.
I mean, at this point, probably. I haven't been to that locals in a minute. Speaking of locals.
Only thing I think should have changed, release Greymon X because it's doing nothing. We'll get to that. We have a lot of good points to hit. We have an ad break coming on Twitch soon. So in the meantime, let's start talking about locals. We'll get to the ban list in. Oh, actually, before I get there, I have comments to make about the structure of our podcast. For those of you who are new to who are new to our podcast, we have a structure. We generally talk, we bullshit for the first 5 to 10 minutes. We talk locals for the next 10 to 15 minutes. Generally, I'm saying what it generally is. And we normally get to our main topic around the 45, sometimes hour minute mark. With that being said, we're always looking to improve podcasts, whatnot, and so forth. So, we got some very heavy feedback on our last podcast. Is Digimon becoming the next Yu-Gi-Oh? People were upset that it took us an hour to get into the main topic. We have a 2-hour podcast. So I just want you guys to know, I'm not criticizing you, but I do want you to know that if you're looking at a 2-hour podcast, the likelihood that they're talking about the main topic for the entirety of 2 hours is very unlikely. The entire reason that podcast is 2 hours is because we started talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! About an hour in, and then we spent an hour talking about the Digimon podcast. Oh, look, Sherlock. Best viewers on blah, blah, blah. I'm about to ban your ass. Yeah, we spent an hour talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, it's not an issue. We do recognize that we can spend a lot of time on other topics, so we're going to put timestamps on our videos once our podcast editor that we hired gets into the flow of things. So that is coming. but we do want you guys to know that we bullshit a lot. All right. It's a podcast. We're three guys. Before we're a professional, so to say, podcast, we are three guys who now this motherfucker, Mike and Yikes, lives in Virginia. So podcasts are generally our time to get together, catch up and bullshit. And Dan lives all the way in Stroudsburg and I live in Allentown. So we're still some distance away from each other. That's why it's a virtual podcast. We use this time to catch up and bullshit. So full disclaimer about that. Anyways, let's see. What do we got for chats here? I'll be going through these periodically. We bullying Dan. Now I approve. Beelzebaran. Point, I'm low-key feeling Fenry next weekend at Niagara. Listen, Takumi Kazuchi. If they
That
got
shit
their
is dumb as
pieces,
fuck.
you're
I mean,
probably dead.
That shit is
Any
so
deck
dumb.
that can accidentally OTK someone turn 2 is fucking spicy.
He said accidentally OTK. That's so funny because it's true.
Yeah,
The
it's
The
so
fun
dumb.
of the podcast is the
that's what the deck
chaos.
is
Yep.
supposed to do, but it really does feel like an accident when it happens.
It's so funny when it does. It's like, can I do this? Can I do? Is this
I
allowed? Oh wow! This is happening.
Especially
right
when you
now.
have a Balmon who's not once a turn, who's just your turn when
No,
you
they
trash Evo. You know, it's so dumb. So you just
some of them don't use that egg.
which is dumb
Some
as
of
hell.
them
Why
use
would
the
you
other
not?
egg. Well, it depends what your thing is, right? Like what you're trying to achieve. So it depends. Like some run the whole Luga line, some actually switch to the Daruga line. So there's
But even if it doesn't
Essentially, like-
matter, I think that one's still just way better in general. Because the other one is when you add a source, you Evo, right? So I mean that's
when
not
you
or
when you
play.
mind link.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When you mind link,
So
yeah.
I feel like the other one is just way better because you only mind link it once per turn anyway. So the other one is just your turn. You're going trash cards as quite often because that's the whole point of the deck. You just trash the cards that you need Evo into. Great, trash Evo, trash Evo, trash Evo. You just keep going. That's how you just go to the Fenrir turn 2, OTK the fuck out of people.
I'm not sure if I can load Dan down because this is a live podcast, so that's just Dan being loud. Dan, talk real quick.
Hello.
All right, he's lower for me. Chat, let me know if he's lower for you. Dan,
I'm
say
not
like
really-
a 5-second sentence.
I mean, I'm not talking that
Dan-
loud, so I don't know.
Dan is usually louder for me than you, Varney, whenever we do pod.
Yeah, let me know
I
if this
think
is
it's-
feeling
I think
better.
that it's just Dan being spirited. Remember when people used to yell at me because sometimes I'd be low and then I would talk really loud?
I'm
Yeah, I
not
think
even
it's
talking
just
that
Dan
loud.
getting
I'm just talking regular right now.
I know,
That
yeah.
helps?
I think
Okay.
that when you get into it, like it's just
No,
louder.
I think his mic settings just naturally has him like
Louder.
it amplifies his
Yeah.
voice. Yeah. So I lowered you down, so it's helped. Chat says it's helping, so we'll go ahead with that.
Sounds
Anyways,
good.
yes. Lightspeed says we listen for the 1 hour rambling BS. Appreciate it. You know,
Thank you, thank you.
that's half the point of these podcasts. Anyways, locals, I went. I showed up. I played against Ancient Gururu. I got my ass kicked in by Ancient Gururu, and then I said, "Fuck this shit, I'm out," and I went home. I've said it since I learned about Ancient Guru as a deck. I do not want to play against that deck. That deck is stupid. Let me tell you what made me leave. I was playing decks. So I went into Dorogoromon. I popped his Koji. I set up a board. I swung at security. I hit another Koji. I said, ah, shit. That's bad. Because I didn't have a way to delete it again. I was like, well, I'm probably fucked next turn. I was fucked next turn. Oh, another point. Sorry, real quick. For anybody who like has a problem with cursing, I apologize. It's a part of my vocabulary. It's just how I grew up. It's something that I try to curb, but it's naturally a part of my vocabulary. I can't help it. I don't think about it. It literally just comes out of my mouth. So if you have a problem with like fuck, damn, shit, all that stuff, I honestly, I'm telling you right now, I'll do my best to curb it, but you're gonna hear it. So I apologize in advance.
Maybe in the future we could maybe have an editor bleep us out.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, we could definitely look into that, but that's gonna be a lot of bleeping.
I think the issue is that because I have the same issue where it's just part of my vocabulary. I think that's more of a Gen Z thing. Like I just naturally use.
Yeah.
words.
Mike said it the other day. We don't use it like in a bad way per se. It's literally just like it's a verb and a noun for us, you know. We just use it to describe our feelings, you know. So I just wanted to say that because I apologize in advance. I know some people don't like that. I just wanted to apologize in advance. Anyways, Next turn, his turn. So he has a Koji, right? So he didn't. I don't think he raised anything, but he didn't need to. He Digivolve. No. Yeah, he raised an Ukomon. So he went to 4. He Digivolved. He did the whole combo into an Ancient Guru. Bounced 1 Digimon. I think I had like 3 or 4. I had 4 Digimon on board. I think I had like a Dorogoromon and then a Tyrannomon, maybe a second Tyrannomon and another Dorogoro or something. I don't remember. Anyways, raise 1 Ancient Guru, bounce a stack, bounce a security. Drop a second Ancient Guru off of the DD option, bounce another stack, bounce another security. He then proceeded to use a second fucking DD and drop a third Ancient Gurumon on me, putting me to a total of 1 memory with 3 Ancient Gurus on board, with all of my Digimon bounced and no security. I was like, you know what? I don't care if anybody else isn't playing this deck. I refuse. Like that weighed so negatively on me, that one game, that I was just like, I don't want to play right now. I've never been so soured at a deck. Like Numemon is rushed, but I don't know. With Numemon, I guess it's just like, okay, like I'm just going to get punched in the face by a bunch of slimes. So it is what it is. Sure, they're probably going to like kill a stack. Maybe I get Valked, but that feels okay to me. But 3 Ancient Gurus, bouncing my security, bouncing my Digimon. I was just like, I'm not sitting through this again. So I went home. I was like, I'm not in the mood to play.
Bro got bullied by a fucking deck, dude. That's crazy.
I legitimately got bullied, bro. I was
I feel you though. There's been times like, especially when I was playing like Yu-Gi-Oh as a broke college student, and I remember like, mind you, we were all pretty broke. None of us really had like super crazy decks or anything. Like we were playing meta, but like most of us were playing casual bullshit, right? I remember like True Dracos came out. I remember playing against them for the first time, and I was like, "What the fuck is this bullshit?"
Yeah, that was some crazy shit.
I was like, I don't want to fucking play this game anymore, bro."
That was a real moment for me. I was like, I love Digimon, but I've never had less fun playing in a match. Maybe Gobblebond was like that, or Lord Knight, like one of those 2 decks back then. I feel like that was like the last time. Oh, well, I guess because I played Yellow Hybrid, Blue Hybrid didn't feel as bad.
Blue Hybrid,
but like those 3 decks, some combination of those 3 decks during those time periods is the only time I've ever felt that way. So I haven't felt this way in a minute.
Blue Hybrid demoralized the fuck out of me, because at that point I was playing like Greymon stack, dude, and I was like,
they were stripping your sources and stunning your ass.
That was already at that point, dude. That was like a tier 2, almost tier 3 deck, like, you know, at that point, and it was so demoralizing playing against Blue Hybrid.
No, I wasn't demoralized. I was just more bored with Alphamon. If they had like the perfect OTK stack going, I'm just like, all right, I just sit here do nothing and watch you attempt to kill me at that point, because I missed the one Metal Greymon X. That's what happened, you know, what was it, Otakon Regionals. That happened like twice, and I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and watch you do everything while I'm just missing the one Metal Greymon X, because I had OTK if I had it. And just being bored as fuck watching them do the shenanigans. Maybe a little demoralized, because it's like, damn, I know I can't do anything on their turn right now. Like maybe like now, like if that Alphamon came out now, you have ace plays, maybe it wouldn't feel as bad. I don't know, but like it was just, I just remember like thinking just like, fuck, there's nothing I could do. I'm just gonna sit here and be bored and watch you OTK me or lead me to a point where I can't do anything still. Might not be the OTK, but there's no way I can respond.
You know what else was always a demoralizing, and I'll give you the Alphamon on that, was the first decks that were able to pop floodgates as they were able to combo off at the same time in Alphamon.
I don't know
is
about
one of
you.
those decks. Yeah.
Alphamon for you, Beelzemon for me.
But Beelzemon wasn't demoralizing.
No, I did like Beelzemon. I always hated, once I saw starter deck Impmon's inheritable, I was like, how do you counterplay against this deck?
Right.
Like if you're not playing Beelzemon.
Almost.
Don't get me started. I'll never forget that day.
That was such a shitty fucking.
Beelzemon
my head it counts to the top, but
it was just like dumb. Like it was just watching, just like, all right, let's see if they fucking can read their cards and high roll. And well, it was so easy to high roll back then with 4 Impmons. It was like the chance of you hitting it was so easy compared to now, obviously. So it's just like, all right, you got it. Oh, Death Slinger, Wizardmon. Imon, let's mill more. Oh, another desk. Oh, you went from 1 to 5?
First, I'm gonna pop your floodgate to prevent my memory gain. Then I'm going to do my memory gain.
I was just like, all right, yeah, you go. You know what? I'm gonna drop this Chaos Dramon and watch you try to struggle now.
You know, the most annoying part about Beelzemon for me was always that even if they didn't know what they were doing or couldn't read their cards, they were still gonna mill. It was just whether they could actually. It was just whether they could kill you or not, because they'd probably deck themselves out. So it would just literally be watching them take their turn to loosen themselves, and I was like, "This is fucking crazy."
That deck was like, I don't know. If I could think about it previously, previous Beelzemon, but that was like the first deck where you're just like, oh my god, you're so fucking bad, but you're only winning because Beelzemon just knows how to mill stuff because you read. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know previously if it like ever really felt like that. Like I don't really think Alphamon was like that. Like, oh, I know you're a bad player and you're just doing things. I don't think so with Alphamon, but I remember Beelzemon being like, bad players can still win with this deck because Beelzemon is just dumb as all hell, but just by reading it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was just watching this like, I know you ain't good, but you just got fucking god luck on mills on them shits. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I feel like that's a trend that's happening more and more often nowadays. Like, you don't have to be a skilled player fully, and you can just still pop off with certain decks nowadays.
I agree.
Let me pause y'all real quick. Let me get to some chats.
Yeah.
Literal Lucas from Twitch says, with Yu-Gi-Oh, it sometimes feels like it's a zero-sum game. For you to have fun playing your deck, you have to turn off your opponent's deck. I hope Digimon doesn't go the same way. I agree. I don't think Digimon has it natively built in just because of the memory gauge. It can't. I think, but I also think equivalently, like that's my problem with Mirage not getting hit. It's not a problem. I don't have a problem with like the OTK. I have a problem with their level 6 essentially turning off the game, so to say. Yeah, and it's because it's like, it's punishing you for playing the game legitimately, but we'll get to that later. Over on YouTube, Petrified says, I double talked Mikazuchi on an Imperial player last night. That's...
Wait, what? He said double Takamichi's on someone? How? Why is this a thing?
It's actually easy to do in a way. If you do like Hellugarmon, if you have like a soul setup, you can do it twice, because I had it happen. I couldn't close out game with the first Takamikazuchi, and I was somehow able to pull out a second Takamikazuchi and close game out that way. It happened.
I think if, let's say that happened to me in game 1, I think I'm scooping that whole match if someone did that to me. Just because of how, bro, I'm so sick when in my local playing against that shit against Gino in the finals. I'm just like, goodness. I have game, and he fucking harder cards drew.
From a rookie, right?
Yeah. He harder cards drew with the fucking Tyrannomon or something like that. I'm just like, you're fucking with me.
See, I almost just like, I think that deck is so fucking wildly funny because it's a good deck. It is. But it's a good deck. Like,
it's a good,
it's like
funny.
It's like janky, you know what, at the same time, and I think it's so fucking cool.
It's the perfect anime deck. Like, I haven't read Seekers, but having the idea of like how everything turned out, what that deck is capable of doing is like so reminiscent of like, I'm on my last legs. It's either I win now or go home. So this is my big turn. And sometimes it doesn't pay off and the protagonist gets his ass kicked in, and sometimes the protagonist wins, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, thank God it's not a Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist, bro, because they always
I know, right?
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh protagonists. Yeah, but Yu-Gi-Oh protagonists don't have good decks in real IRL.
Firewall Dragon.
Yeah.
What? What do you mean? That card got fucking banned.
I know.
Fox Rose says, locals for me as of late is either Beelzemon or Machinejimon. Lately it's Beelzemon. Are you at a PPG locals where burritos maybe?
Yeah, right.
He also says, hey, Varney's playing the deck. I'm playing next week. Let's go. I do like decks a lot. I do. Supreme Sky says, Alphamon best deck. KNT Elixir, shout out, hello, fellow content creators. Wait, y'all do this shit live now? Not regularly. This is like a once in a blue moon thing. Yeah, banlist reactions essentially. Yeah. Takamikazuchi says happy pride. It says light speed. Shady Water says I don't respect any OTK dog deck. Melga Mirage Fenry. Y'all notice the trend here? It's all the dogs.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Blue dog, purple dog, pick your poison.
Yeah, exactly.
Anubis was a dog.
Anubis was a dog too. Yeah.
What's with these fucking dogs?
Hey, we need to take him out like Old Yeller. You know what I'm saying? We can't keep doing this. You know, take these dogs out. Tired of them.
Back. Yeah, that's crazy.
Back to locals.
All right,
back to locals.
Dan,
right?
go ahead.
Varney didn't mention this. It was our Evo Cup for our locals.
Oh, right. It was. That's how you know it was bad. It was Evo Cup, and Dan was like, dude, it's Evo Cup. And I was like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I was like, I am so demoralized right now. I don't want to stay. I don't have it in me. That's how you know it was bad.
Yeah. I got second place again. I played Shine, so I am loving the new Shine support so much, honestly. I know people were sleeping on it at first. I enjoy the fuck out of it. It makes the deck so much more versatile. I was doing plays that I didn't even think could like be a thing until I'm in the middle of comboing. I'm just thinking things through, and I'm just in love with the new stuff, honestly. Round one, I played against Imperial. I won 2-0 against that. I had my revenge matchup against Jarrell the week before. He beat me in the finals because I break the fuck out with what's it called? Diaboromon. But this time with Sean, I was just able to do Sean shenanigans. I almost threw also game one, I think it was, because I don't know why. Like, I usually grab when you burst mode, I usually grab the suspended Marcuses so I could reuse it again. So I had 3 Marcus on board, and for some reason my mindset grabbed the suspended that swung already, and I grabbed the unsuspended one on accident. Which the reason why that ended up being a bad play because I ended up drawing into the Agumon that lets you make a Marcus to a Digimon, and that was game that turn if I did, because I drew into the Agu. So I had the 3 memory play. I would have been able to swing with that. So I accidentally almost threw. I ended up still winning that game because he couldn't. He was either missing a champion or he couldn't close out at a low 5. I don't remember exactly right now.
You know what though? It's a good point to talk about though. Is like sequencing, not sequencing, but like not falling into the like, oh, let me just grab this instead because I have nothing to do with it right now, because you might draw into like the out. Right? And I had that thought process already because I was like, all right, if I can like maybe draw into an Agumon, I could just keep this Marcus already chilling. So I had the thought process already, but for some reason instinctually I just grabbed it on like wow, like I don't know what it was at that moment. But anyways, yeah, because like I said, I didn't have like the optimal Shine stack, but Rise Greymon was the reason. The new Rise Greymon was the reason why I had the OTK that turn, straight up. Because like I said, I had 3 Marcus on board, 2 of the BT12 one, and then the BT13 one. That Rise just lets you, do shenanigans, I feel like, sometimes. Because it's on Evo and when attacking, and it's not once per turn. So letting you suspend a Marcus. I was able to clear his board, so I suspended the BT13 one, I think it was. And then I was able to also swing Evo at the same time and keeping the Marcus safe, go into the Shine, and then I'm just like popping off even more. It was pretty cool. Some of the things I could do with it. Shine Greymon burst mode, also the ace play is also super good. Just being able to just say no to anything that's really big or whatever, basically with like 3 Marcuses on board. That's neg 15, so you're just killing anything at that point, which is also really good. And then it has the aggression, be able to swing 2 checks. I actually ended up doing that, and then I had another like Geo Gray something on board, swung, attacked both. I think it was like 2 BT12 Marcuses, Evo for free right there without having them to swing. And that second Geo Gray went to another Shine or something like that. It was something crazy. I was like, ooh, baby, you know what I'm saying? Like, this was pretty cool. But yeah, so
that's the kind of Shine I feel like I'd like to play. Like, I hated the way the deck was in BT12 or BT13. Because it was like so Marcus centric.
Yeah,
and now it's like
I always had that same problem. It was like the whole point of the deck was like it was like protect your tower type deck, right? You just stood there with that Shine stack. You had the inheritables or main effects. But everything that you do with it is with the Marcus. You had to swing the Marcuses. You had to do everything and keep that stack protected. Because if that stack dies to security, you're fucked. So now you have inheritables of being able to have like security neg on your
Sec minus on the security, yeah. Or
then,
security DP minus.
Yeah. Neg 3K is pretty important, especially when your Marcus is 3K.
It's like a plus 3K. It's also like a plus 3K on your stack.
Your shine is also giving whatever. So like if that's another neg 6 from the shine, and then your Marcus is 6K, that's neg 9 on total. So like most big things is dying to that Marcus regardless, and you're surviving them 2 checks. So it adds up. There's a lot of important things, little key factors. And again, that yellow egg is still the best egg in my opinion for shine. That
which one? The BT12 Koromon?
Yeah, the yellow one that's neg 1 when a tamer suspended, whatever it is. That neg 1 is still so important to me. Like it just adds math perfectly, and it's just fantastic. So yeah, again,
I have to say as well, I think like for me, like the type of decks that I like to play are very thematic decks, like decks that play the way that I imagined these Digimon would play. And so like Shine, like I think that was another thing that always upset me about Shine, because I'm like, Shine is a Digimon. I know Marcus is out here punching Digimon, but Marcus isn't soloing everything. Yeah. Like Shine, like there's a reason that Agumon digivolves into Shine. Like why isn't Shine doing more? And I like this current support that makes it like, here's like bro power, like Marcus takes a swing and then Shine takes a swing and they go back and forth, and it's like, yeah. Marcus and Agumon are soloing Digimon.
That man damn near can punch everything though. I watched that man knock out 3 Venomiotis.
That was right about to say. Yo, one punch. Really, and it's not like small Venomiotis. They were large as fuck. They're
fucking huge.
Yeah.
Yo, I want to interject. That's actually fucking hilarious. Like I want to imagine like my decks play how the Digimon plays. Like obviously I play Imperial, and I just realized that that deck bricks because, first of all, Davis and Vmon are fucking dunces. The fucking Porsight deck doesn't fucking work, bro.
That's why you have to play Wormmon.
That's why you have Ken to try, strategize the dumbness of Davis,
right? That's funny. That's really funny. Yeah. It's why I was super excited for Seekers. Because that's why I'm excited for everything in the Liberator set. Because here's the characters playing the decks, and here are the decks playing in the same ways that like the characters are playing them. And for Yu-Gi-Oh, it's the same thing for me. Like I was a protagonist whore. I loved every protagonist deck. Yusei for me was like, oh cool, look at this junk ass deck that Yusei is somehow piloting to a win. You'd never do that shit in real life, but it didn't stop me from wanting to.
Yeah,
maybe. Not where I was, but I never played much. It was just like the DS.
Stardust Dragon was
maybe a friend or two.
Spicy.
Yeah, Stardust Dragon, but like Junk Warrior. I was always a fan of like everything that like Yusei used. Every protagonist, like I said. So I just like thematic things. I like things that play the way that I've seen it. Like that's why I love Digimon, because I love that everything plays like. For example, Takumi Kazuchi, as stupid as it is, it plays like the perfect protag deck. You're putting it all, you're placing your bets on this final stand. Because literally, like, I got put to like 0 security. I was like, fuck, if I don't win, like that's it, that's game. So I was like, let me see what I can do. And I came out and won. I was like, all right, cool. That's so protag power.
Yeah, no, it's funny when you mention that, because now I was like, oh yeah, because you do. Now you can't swing with the Agu stack, and then sometimes you don't want to swing with the Agu stack and you want to swing with the Marcus, and then vice versa and stuff. It's kind of funny when you think about it like that.
Yeah. I'm definitely a big fan of like that. Yeah. This new Shine support.
Yeah, and then like the Shine Greymon having like the protection against anything is super good too. That actually mattered against round 2 for me. I played against Ancient Garurumon.
The BT17 Shine.
Yeah. It has protection against anything by bouncing a Marcus. And so that actually again came up against Ancient, because they can bounce you if you have Marcus on board. Ancient Garurumon just shenanigans. Game 1 he ended up taking because he bum rushed the fuck out of me, and then he dropped the Ancient Guru when I didn't have much going on, and he ended up getting that W. Game 2 I was like, all right, I need to make sure I like come out the gates fast, and so That's what I did. I made sure to kill his Ukos as fast as possible. Like I didn't let him. So I got lucky. Security was like weak, and then I had like Marcus or something that came out. So then like his Uko wouldn't die. So now I get to choose to kill them, which is important to me, I think, because if you're playing purple Mad, you gain a memory on your turn. You don't gain that memory if you're on your opponent's turn, I believe. And so I would kill his like small bodies with no problem. And then like I was OTKing. I made sure to prioritize getting the new Shine Greymon because I knew Ancient Guru's effect to bounce, and then you bounce security when you bounce a Digimon. So if you can't bounce Shine, if you drop the second one, you got it. But you got it, you know what I'm saying? But like if you don't, which happened to him, I'll be all right. And then is Ancient Guru a blocker? No. All right, cool. I'm about to pop the F off and kill it. And I don't care about your resource management and being able to grab stuff because it's my turn and I'm going to OTK the fuck out of you right now. And so that ended up happening game 2 and 3. Game 3, I couldn't close it out. And then I was scared that he was going to pop off because I ended up giving him 2 Kojis from security. I was like, oh my God.
I hate that shit. It was just as annoying as when you hit it back during like old blue hybrid era and you're like, oh, fuck, more tamers,
I gave him 2 Kojis and a Louis. I was like, I'm about to get fucked. Luckily for me, he didn't have enough memory because I choked him. Oh, I didn't choke him, so he had the memory taken, but I kept him at the 3 spot. And he wasn't able to like, he needed like another memory to like, I think do something. He just couldn't, and he had to pass turn. So he passed turn with like 2 Ancient Gurus on board because my Marcus died and I'm recovering. And so that actually mattered in the hindsight for there. And so I had again a W. And then the final round of playing against Gino with his, he was playing Takemichi, whatever. And so game 1, he was like, I don't got to grade him. I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. I'm doing my things. I'm set up to win next turn. He goes, all right, I'm gonna try to, do shenanigans. And Tyrannomon, he dropped the Tyrannomon search, got what he needed. And then, because like the last card to search is what he needed, which is I think like Soul Lugar. So then Baomon activates, goes to the Soul Lugar, puts me at 3, Evos again, puts me to 7.
Puts you to 7.
Plays the Postmon Mega, I forget what it's called, Kazuchimon, effect, DNA, bring it back to 3, gain a memory, put me back to 2. I was just like, this is so dumb.
But wait, it's not your turn.
So and then he ended up killing me that turn. I was just like, and you say you didn't have it. He was like, I didn't. I was like, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Gino has the protagonist powers.
Yeah, that has the pro tag powers.
Gino is straight up pro tag power. Gino, if you're watching, like, just know that.
Game 2, I ended up getting it. I don't remember. I think he couldn't get to Fenrir fast enough, and then I just OTK'd him, I think. Then game 3 happened. My mistake was not taking a burst mode when I needed a Shine at that moment. It was a search, and the search was like, I don't remember if it was a training or Agumon, but my options was between a Shine Greymon and burst mode Ace. And I took the Shine Greymon. I should have took the burst mode Ace because I ended up drawn to the Shine Greymon eventually. And then that ended up mattered because I ended up getting 2 Shine Greymons on board. One was the BT17 and the BT12 on board. And so he only was able to deal with 1. If I had the burst mode Ace, I could have burst mode Ace, neg like 15 or whatever it was, and then kill the Fenrir. Or it might not kill it, but like he would have died in security because he ended up hitting like a Rise Greymon or something like that. Even with the alliance, it wouldn't have mattered. And so that's what like small, minute mistake was a micromanagement is like the most important thing in
the micro level decisions of the game, yeah.
And that's what ended up catching me on that one, unfortunately. And I didn't draw into a burst mode either. I think I needed a burst mode or something to like actually like go for game.
Play 2? You play 2 and 2, I presume? 2 Ace, 2 non-Ace?
No, I went 2 and 1, I think, at the moment.
I feel like you should play 4 because I feel like the Ace is just too good
the last time I played or I was playing testing, I put a 2 Ace and then 1 of the old one, but I was like, I kind of feel like I need to see the old one. Yeah, you really need both. And so I think I will. It's just space is even harder in that deck now than it was previously because you need 4 trainings in it. And then used to back in the day run 7 Rise Greymons or like 7 Ultimates. Now I'm back up to 8, like your standard ratios, because like that new Rise is just so good. So putting him to I have a like 4-3-1 split, something like that. And so it's hard. It's tight. Space is tight in that. And then you had the new Marcus. I've seen people running at 2. I have it at 1. That Marcus actually came up quite a bit, which is pretty cool. Being able to all turns gain a memory and plus 3k boost is pretty important.
Yeah.
And so that actually,
especially the 3k boost for the likes of like Takumi Kazuchi, because they do a neg 16. So like with the option Awakening of the Sun, when that allows you to digivolve into Shine, that can put you above the threshold, so you live, which is good
for sure
if you go into like a burst mode.
But yeah, so I had him getting second again.
Michael,
the way you said it, I didn't mean. Look, all right. Here's the thing. I know Dan is a great fucking Digimon player, and I know that when I make fun of him, it's just gonna drive him to try and be better and try and win. So like, it's like it's all good fun. Like I've known Dan for fucking so many years now, but I couldn't help but laugh right there. It's fucking funny.
All right, so some chats real quick from Twitch. eHero says, I'm normally an avid dog lover, but this game is testing my patience. Joe Mojo says, only the real ones don't sleep when the new Shine support. Heavy agree. Remember that tier list where we were like, Shine should be a contender because this new support's good? I still hold by that. Like, I think this new support is great. Shady says, arguably holds the title of the best Greymon deck in our meta. BT17, this is true. Well, it's the only relevant. Well, I guess Omnimon is a Greymon deck, but it's really more of an Omni deck. eHero says, I OTK the fuck out of people. Junk Warrior, hey. Leppy says, have you seen that there's a new Zuba Loop with Mirage? We were looking at that this morning.
It's not that good.
Is called Dog Walk. Yeah, you're getting Dog Walk, Dan. Takumi Kazuchi is dog walking you. Second, again, big rival energy. And then over on YouTube, where'd we fumble today? So I'm glad I got something to watch. I'm in the Digimon history gulag. I hate it here. Dog Eat World out here meta. Also, rip my boy TK, the massacred my angels deck. Hey, what you lose in one thing, you gain in others.
Yeah.
Dog is man's best friend. This is true. Walk the dog is the latest hotness. Mirage, Garurumon, Anubis, Fenry. I guess, Gabumon was a wolf. So yeah. Purple Mat's memory gain is on trash is all turns. Yep. Don't forget to recover just to fuel the on attack. It's a guaranteed I'm trashing one of your security.
I'd like to interject. The rookie Gabumon is not a dog. It is a reptile.
It's a lizard.
No, but Garurumon is a wolf.
But a Garurumon is a dog. Yes.
Moral Atheist says, bro, I beat someone in turn 2 as I was about to get OTK'd because I didn't have Fenry. They're in security, so now they're in trash. I had BT16 Soul on board, so I just hard played Hellugar, and yeah, that is a play. New Marcus is goated, being basically BT13 Agu with its on play.
Yeah, makes anything of Marcus. I mean, it makes any Marcus a Digimon. Doesn't have to be itself. And a blocker.
What was the one card you each really wanted on the ban list that didn't make it? We'll get there. Mike didn't go to locals.
I went to locals? What do you mean?
Mike went to locals.
So my locals this weekend was actually kind of nice. There was like 6 to 8 people there, so I was kind of happy.
Nice.
But I actually spent I was there for like 5 or 6 hours, and I was literally just playtesting with one guy because he's getting ready for Niagara Falls Regionals. So we cooked up some stuff that got immediately destroyed by the ban.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna work on a different variation of that later today. So I don't want to talk too much about like what he's playing because I don't want to be dick. But I had I had a great time. It was nice to play competitively with someone that's like practicing for regionals again. It's been a minute since I've done that. So I had a fucking blast. I didn't really. That's all I have to say. Like, I didn't really play anything too crazy. You just helped him.
Hey,
craft
6 to 8 people is nice. Super nice.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome.
That's a thriving community. Like that's all you need to get started as a store. Getting tournament packs, all that sort of stuff. That's
it was
great.
Fucking it was like so fun that I actually like be there with like multiple people again. I was like, thank God, I needed this. Yeah, so that was a fucking blast.
Mike out here cultivating his local scene. Absolutely. DGU Mike putting in the work for the community.
Yes, sir.
Man. Yeah, so if you guys are in Virginia, come down to Gamers Oasis Winchester.
The Oasis is thriving, as
Message
Shady
me,
Water
DM me on
says.
Discord.
He says
Add me on
slide in them
Facebook.
DMs, baby.
Yes, sir. Other than that, yeah, just had a great time this weekend. Fucking actually playing in person again with some people, helping someone play at a higher level. Like, it was just a blast. So made me nostalgic for the olden days when I
didn't
used
move.
to go to locals.
Hey, you go to locals now.
yeah.
Now you can call it locals.
Yes.
6 to 8 people, you can call that locals.
Yeah, it was sweet. Hopefully it's consistent. We'll see what happens.
All right, so y'all came here for ban list topic, so we're gonna get to ban list topic. Before we do, let's just talk about some comments real quick, and then I'm gonna share my screen. Jay Stort says they should have hit Mirage. There's a broken blue loop deck floating around on Twitter that uses it with Dawn's
really not
cards,
that
not
bad.
Galaxy. We'll get there. Mike out, or no, I already said that one. Casual Mike, I play Digimon like a politician ordering donuts.
Damn.
Moral
I don't even get
Atheist,
that.
or
I don't get the reference.
Lethal Gamer says, I'm worried Imperial might be super good now. Moral Atheist says, I agree. I'm an Imperial main, so yay, but at the same time, I think they should have hit something. Numa Magna being slightly hit makes it way stronger. Magna X matchup is about the same. AGK, what is AGK? Ancient Gururu, okay, is nice, but not in this. Wait, no. What is AGK? AGK is nice, but not a necessity since the deck uses Blue Mem and Awakening of the Golden Knight. Gotcha. Good ban list from Mike. Imperial is new best in BL Star and 4 more Goblins thread. This motherfucker really said, hey, Gabumon's unbanned, so I can play BL Star Coop now, right? I was like, Mike,
that was my
go
first
back
reaction.
in your box.
That was the first reaction to Banlist. I said, hey, Gabumon came off.
First time chat from famous Zeno. I just started playing the game, well, via DCGO at least a few days ago. It's certainly scratching an itch early Vanguard left behind. What early itch, might I ask? Varney, when's that Sakuya list? I haven't played it yet. Once I play it, you'll have a list. But honestly, the deck is going to be so trash. Like I heard somebody say I got rid of all the plugins and it's so much better, and I'm like, no,
I believe
no.
that.
Yeah, right.
All right. Let me share my screen. We're gonna hop into ban list talks.
Ban list talks.
Here we go. Banned and restriction card announcement. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through each card individually, give our thoughts, and we'll move on to the next card, and then we'll get to any other thoughts afterwards. So the first card, effective August 31st. Important note: this is the
For
first
both?
ban list that English and Japanese are getting at the exact same time. So if you are an English meta player, we will have this ban list in a week's time. So fret not. The savior is coming soon. Number 1, y'all already knew it. I called it. I said this was the problematic Uko. They're getting rid of it. Promo Ukomon is hit. Bandai says it was intended for this card to be it was intended for this card. Fuck, words are hard.
Read.
Yo,
Yeah.
just
You know,
read the
we
word-
play
read the
card games,
sentence.
right? You can't read. Yeah.
Damn.
It was intended for this to be a card that could be combined with promo 130 Louis Owada and used in a variety of decks, which it was. But the importance of this one card turned out to be much bigger than predicted, as it increased the speed of control decks that don't require a level 3. You could probably just cross out control and just say it increased the speed of decks that don't require a level 3.
Yeah.
And provides many options by securing memory. As a result, there's a difference in power between decks that can use this card and those that can't or don't have space, resulting in a loss of diversity in the decks that can be used. For the above reasons, fuck this card. This card's out of one.
Yeah.
So, my initial thoughts on this card. Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
The memory gain is so annoying. I've seen people have gripes about BT16 not being hit, that, oh, you know, they get to choke you to 1. Oh, you get consistency in search. Listen, let me tell you something. I don't know if you guys play competitively or not, because nothing is more annoying than trying to choke your opponent and your opponent saying, yeah, but I have Ukomon, right? Like, there's a
Especially
reason
multiple.
memory choking, especially multiple. There's a reason memory choking is a a thing that you try to achieve in the game. And for you to have cards that say, okay, yeah, but you don't get to memory choke me, defeats the purpose of memory choking. It makes it feel like, well, why did I even bother? Which is another point for a card that was also hit later on that we'll get to. So for me, Promo Ukomon, perfect hit. I never minded BT16 Uko. I think that card is fine. Digivolving for one, the consistency, I'm good with it. I like that this card was hit because I fucking hate the memory gain from this. I hate that your opponent can drop a Louis and basically just push up for one and get a new stack going. Like, I hate this card. I'm so glad to see this card gone, especially in rush decks, because that was also aggravating. That, like, let me put it this way. If Digimon Emperor is a great card, and if you could choke your opponent to one and say, if you raise, lose your turn, but for this card to say, yeah, but I gain a memory, so I don't lose my turn, so it nullifies in a way your Digimon Emperor. What was the point of your Digimon Emperor? Now this card's at one, so we don't have that problem much anymore unless your opponent sees the one of, if they're playing it. I'm fine with that. Boys, I'll leave it open to you.
I actually have a visceral hatred for this card more now. I was playing the sim yesterday, and I'm like having a good time. I take my turn, you know, and then I see this man hatched, put Uko there, and I said, "Fuck this guy already." I don't know. I hate that card so much. I'm glad it got hit to one, and I still have a visceral hatred for Bandai putting everything to one instead of just fucking putting
banning the card. True.
I think this card at one is fine. It's just so fucking annoying to see. I will say it does make it a lot easier to remove now, because now you don't have to worry about
get rid of one.
Yeah,
and you don't have to worry about the second one.
You don't have to worry about 2 or 3 being there. So
done.
that makes me feel way better about this card now. I still hate seeing it, but I'm glad that when I remove it, I know that I don't have to worry about it coming back at all. So that makes me feel a lot better.
Heavy agree.
It doesn't feel as bad as like getting HPD'd or something, I think, or like
it's because HPD is just the
yeah. But
yeah.
I actually haven't been HPD'd in a while, so I don't feel too bad about that card anymore. But Ukomon is fuck Ukomon. I am glad it's at one. I think it was the right hit. I think that it was a good hit to slow the meta down a lot too, actually.
Absolutely. I mean, that was the goal, right? Slow the meta down, and this slows it down.
We'll talk. I have more thoughts about slowing the meta down after we go through all the cards, but
as someone who was an avid Ukomon user, I'm sad to see it go by.
An Ukomon enjoyer, some would say.
He may hate the Digimon, but he loves the card.
I was about to say, the Digimon itself is a bug-eyed freak-ass menace to society, but the card was fantastic, you know what I'm saying? As someone who
I do love seeing that tentacle-eyed fuck get put the one. It was nice.
Right.
You see me, I'm on the opposite end. Fuck the card, but I love Ukomon as a Digimon.
Right, exactly. All jokes aside, though, as someone who like enjoy like faster decks and aggro, that's why I enjoyed it. Just being able to go fast. And play a new mon was fun. I understand why I got hit. Just it steamrolls like crazy. Especially you have 2 on board. It's like, all right, we're gonna go to 3. Plus Louis, plus a Sasuke or something, like for Numon specifically. Like there's so many ways of gaining memory, and there's other ways. Obviously, it's not as fast, but there's ways you can play other cards that can do what this did, just not as good. Obviously, for Black Base, just going right back to the starter deck Agumon is going to do the similar things. Obviously, a little different because it's a starter main effect. It obviously doesn't hatch. So like you lose out in those situations, but you still can gain the memory as well, unless there's Digimon Emperor on board. But besides that, like,
or if your opponent doesn't have a Digimon in play,
correct, obviously.
So it's like, yes.
So there's ways to counter that compared to what a Ukomon does, right? Ukomon also, for more rogue decks help those as well, but like realistically in a competitive setting, like, who cares about those if they're not really doing anything per se. Like for me, Myoto-Samon was huge for that. Like this was super important to have a Myoto-Samon because it was just there's no bottom end for it, so it needed stuff like this, right? To make the deck faster, to make the deck work, it feels like. So seeing that for those type of decks kind of sucks, but like realistically, who cares about those in a competitive setting? Ukomon.
You also have a better Ukomon, arguably, for those decks in the BT16.
This Ukomon now having 5 Ukos that can, hatch is not as bad. I would say though, if you I guess if you were to do the what I was talking about, if you were to do a what's it called? You split them up type of thing. I just choice restriction, right? If you choice restrict, you have 4 Ukos, not 5, because you can't play one of each one. So it would be less hatching. Technically, that would be slower, but obviously, why would you run that one? Especially if you're new one, you run this one, obviously. So I could see why I got hit. The other Uko dodge the ban list, I think probably is fine because it's a 1 cost. You guys still pay the cost. You're still choking though. But
you're not gaining
memory for specific decks, which is important. Other decks might use it. I will say, this is my thing now. That Uko being one of is a perfect. If you're a type of person who always likes to run a 12 rookies, throw that one of, make it 13. Have this because this doesn't stop you from doing anything that you don't already do. You know what I'm saying? Outside of evoing in the back in that same turn 1,
it's a free draw.
Exactly. You got
what is that card? Upstart Goblin, kind of, I guess.
Kind of essentially, right? You're gonna evo this, and then the following turn you just race and you hatch, and you're still right there perfectly fine. So I think it's a perfect one of now for you could just throw into any deck. You see it, great. If you don't see it, who cares? You know what I'm saying? If you bottom deck of a search, who cares? Because it's only a one of. You know what I'm saying? You're not relying on it to do what it does, right? So now you get to that spicy tag, and I guess if you see it like Mike, and then you're just oof, that sucks type of thing. But I don't think it's as bad because you just deal with it, call it a day, and you're fine moving forward.
Absolutely.
Some comments. Shady says, bro, getting high rolled by 1-ofs I think is sometimes more frustrating than playing against the broken 4-of card. Have you agree? Melga feels when they see that stupid 100%. Fucking limited 100%. Sec +1 ass unsuspending Werewolf, and you're just yeah.
And I don't know what is with 1-ofs in this game. Even in deck, even if a card is not restricted, for me, Imperial,
I see it way more than my 4-ofs.
All the time. I play one BT12 in fighter mode. That card is stuck to my hand. God forbid I see the ace.
A Pokemon for me stuck. In Don Devi. I've been playing a lot of Don Devi. Obviously, playtesting, and I've teched in the one of Apocally. That card is in my starter hand about 95% of the time. It's not even I'm mulligan for it. I just go for my search hand and it's oh, this is a good hand. I might as well keep Apox in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Another card we'll talk about later on. I cut this card down to 1 in Magna because I always fucking saw it and I hated it. Awakening. I put that bitch to 1 very early on because I was I always have this card and I almost never need it. So I always see it at 1. So now it's at 1 permanently and I'm just okay. And he says, you feel like you got unlucky versus outplayed by your opponent, so it feels less competitive. Yeah, definitely agree with that. JStore says, I will say the only thing about Uko is that some decks were already cutting promo Uko, example Luga. I'm fine with it now, but it's something to keep an eye on. Yeah, but that's the thing, right? And I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand about ban list. A ban list shouldn't wipe out an entire meta. A ban list shouldn't seek to ban every single problem, not even problematic. It shouldn't seek to hit every deck. It should just hit the problematic decks and give new decks a chance to shine and show up. There are other problematic things that, we feel should be hit that will be talked about, but it's not an issue that some things weren't hit. BT16 is fine for now. This was the right hit because it slows things down. Yeah, BT16 is still accelerating the game plan, but you have counterplay to it now, which is fine. One of the biggest things in Digimon is that memory manipulation. Any deck that is capable of doing that, i.e. Fenry, is inherently going to be a good deck because that's how you pay for everything.
Right.
So once you get rid of these things that are abusing memory, it makes the game fairer because every deck is on the same ground, so to say. This was the card to hit for that reason. We'll get to the other ones later on. Moving on. Louis Owada. Yes. I figured this dirty motherfucker would have get hit too. Let me tell you about this. Let me tell you what Ben I said about this card.
That was a hit at the same time.
By repeatedly combining effects that aren't once per turn, such as BT6, a whole ass BT6 card, Matt Ishida, i.e. Gabu Bond. With this card's on-play effect, the game speed accelerates dramatically, making it difficult for many decks to compete. Because various decks use countermeasures against this combination, decks that are strongly affected by this countermeasures are no longer able to perform as effectively as they should, resulting in a loss of diversity in the decks being used. For the above reasons, fuck this card too.
Yep.
Is this the first Tamer card hit ever?
No, what are you talking about? We had Teak.
What other?
Teak.
No, but like in previous bands.
Yeah, Tommy.
Tommy got
right.
hit
I forgot about Tommy. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
He's not on the
quick
list
comments.
anymore, but yeah.
Quick comments before I go on. The most important thing about them hatching is the tempo increase. Cutting that number from 8 to 5 makes a huge difference. Definitely level out the playing field. Yep, W hit. I forgot who said it, but someone said you will see more decks running these cards now they are hit to 1 as it's easier to find space for a 1 of. Yep. Louis was an accomplice. Louis was an accomplice to Uko. Second best Matt in Bonds. Yep. So my thoughts, if you hit, it didn't matter which Ukomon you hit, but you definitely needed to hit Louis, because even though some decks weren't playing 4 Louis, you were generally playing 2 to 3, and Louis for game was a thing. The amount of times that I've literally been hit by Louis for game is so annoying. It's just like, because it's the Mimi thing. The difference is with Mimi, you have to pay 4 or have it set up. With Louis, let me rephrase. Mimi requires you to pay 4 or have it set up early, and you have to have a level 5 or higher green. Correct. Louis is just like, well, I play for 2, essentially. I play for 2, probably 1 if there's an Ukomon, but all you need is 2 memory to hybrid for game or push from raising for game. And that was like so annoying, especially in Ancient. Like Ancient didn't need that. Obviously, this card was hit. They cited Gabubond, but Ancient also used Louis. That shit was annoying.
Well, because
Numamon using Louis,
the Ancient Gabubond loop, so it was all part of it together, type of thing.
Yeah, it was like one whole deck.
Louis being hit, I guess Bandai really didn't like the Gabubond. I mean, Agumon Rush can do it too, obviously, but like Gabubon does it probably better just because the way Gabubon works. They didn't like having Manatai not being once per turn, and then plus this because you get double of that effect, which is crazy. I've seen it happen with or a lack of foresight. Sorry, playing Agumon, I think it was, and I seen him go, all right, cool. I have like three tiles on board. I'll play. Already raised, got the 3 memory in draw, and then eventually dropped the Louis, raise again, and then immediately another 3 memory plus 3 draws. So that's crazy as hell when you have those stacked up plus the Louis going on. Louis, so people were like, I know this is weird to me, but like Louis, they were like, oh, 3 cards hit from Numamon. When it comes to Numamon, as important Louis was, it wasn't important. You were running at 2 of max. So like having it at 1 is like, all right, whatever. It doesn't really phase Numamon as much. It does affect obviously that Gabubon style deck, and anything else that was running at a more consistently number versus Numamon. So it's a good hit. If promo got hit, this needs to get hit too because it just does a lot as well.
Mike, thoughts?
I don't have much to say other than I agree with you guys, but it does feel like Bandai is correcting the timeline that got fucked up by the O2 movie, so it kind of makes me happy to see those cards.
Yeah.
This is true. This is true.
Doing us a service.
Yeah, I like the Louis hit a lot. I'm very glad that they hit this card because this card, if it wasn't on a lot of people's list, I don't think, but this card had the potential to be like extremely toxic. So I'm glad that this card got hit.
You need to either use it for the one time for game and keep it in hand, or use it early on and just for the memory gain. Depends on how your hand looking and how you want to play it out.
It's a very impactful one of.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't on my initial like Christmas list of cards that I wanted to get hit, but I'm glad to see it at 1.
Exactly. Moving on. Wow.
What a card I never thought I would see.
Wow. Starter deck 2, Hammer Spark. This card has been used in decks that include blue cards for a long time, but the increased variety of cards available now allow for more card drawing, making it possible to have multiple cards in hand and use them consecutively in one turn. As a result, it has become easier to speed up the game, widening the gap between decks that can use this card and others. For the above reasons, fuck this card. Let me tell you something about this card. This card was on nobody's Christmas list.
No.
And I see a lot of people complaining about it. Like, why did it take so long? Yada, yada, yada. Let me tell you something. Listen to me. When I played against Ancient Gurumon, I was fine. I was like, he got me down to like no security. And I was like, that's okay. I have a rookie in raising. He doesn't have like anything in raising. He just has a tamer, but he doesn't have enough memory. Like, this is fine. Like, he can't do anything. And then he said, all right, I'll hammer spark and I'll go to 2. And I was like, then he DigiPod hybrid for game. And I was like, fuck you. I was like, oh, that's so annoying. Like the old argument for this card was you have to dedicate deck space to it. So for every card, like it may not add to your in like early game plan because it's a dead card, so to say, but later on it helps. The value of 1 memory in this game is insane. What is a 0 cost gain 1 memory option worth? Obviously enough for the card to get hit, right? And let's not even forget about like gain 2 memory and security, which is
the security effect was already so much better to me.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's like, why did it take so long for this card to get hit? Because when Bandai first made memory gaining cards, notice this, guys. Every memory gaining card was printed very early on in the game when the game was not accelerated. This was started at 2. Blinding Ray was BT4. Jack Raid was BT4. Gravity Crush was like BT2 or 3.
Yeah.
And am I missing? Black has Ultimate Connection for Machine Dramon, which is really just a 1 cost to gain 1, and you have to discard for it. So that's inherently like a fair card. And what's the other color I'm missing?
That's it.
Is there not a green? Green doesn't have one because green just has green has HPD. These cards were printed very early on. There is no way. Oh, I guess Parabolic Junk, but that does require a Digimon to die. These cards were printed so early on in the game that there's no way that you could have foreseen how future cards would have affected these types of cards.
Correct.
These cards were great in the early game because it gave decks advantages, but it wasn't such an inherent advantage that it was like, oh, this card needs to be hit. In today's meta, yeah, these cards are a lot more impactful because of, like they said, for a blue deck that can draw so easily. I mean, it's a blue deck, right? It's inherently consistent, so to say. Just being able to stack these cards, gain memory on whim, definitely a card that should be hit. Now, I know Mike's going to talk about it, so I'm not going to talk about it for too long, but since Hammer Spark is hit, we should probably go about hitting the other memory gain cards. Mike, go ahead.
So, I don't know. I feel like Hammer Spark's a weird card. To me, Hammer Spark seemed like you hit Hammer Spark because it was used in Ancient Gurumon exclusively, really, at this point. I mean, maybe an Imperial player was playing it at 1, Mirage were playing it, maybe. But, like, this was definitely a hit because of Ancient Gurumon, in my opinion. And it was them trying to skirt around, instead of hitting Ancient Gurumon, hitting all of its support pieces instead. Kind of like what they were doing for APOC. I don't necessarily mind the card being hit, but it is interesting to me. Like, I think that they had to hit it because it is a 0 does nothing, right? So Blinding Ray requires you to like trash your security to gain the memory. But in some decks, that's actually huge. Like for Magnamon decks, like being able to trash your security to gain the memory was like a double plus for you at that point. So I did think it was kind of interesting for them to hit Hammer Spark, but let cards like Blinding Ray slide. I also think what has to do with that is that Hammer Spark is also just the inheritable is fucking brutal.
Like security.
Yeah, my bad. The security effect. The security effect's just fucking brutal. To be fair, Like Blinding Ray doesn't have that, Gravity Crush doesn't have that. And while we've seen meta decks in the past use Blinding Ray, Gravity Crush, like the cross decks come to mind. Like if you're playing the Minerva version and you could just fucking go pop off and OTK your opponent by just using Gravity Crush and Blinding Ray to just gain 1 million memory that one turn and murder them. I think because those have like negative effects, it didn't matter as much to Bandai. Whereas seeing like a really highly competitive deck like Ancient Garurumon be able to have access to a free Hammer Spark with a security effect, with no drawback, and just only pluses, does make sense that they hit it to 1. We'll see what happens in the future. I always thought that like, all right, so like decks like Lilith Loop, right, that use memory manipulation, and like their entire deck is drawing their memory option, right, and like looping it and being brutal.
That falls in line with this reason.
Yes. But I think because it's not meta relevant right now, they won't hit it. And that's not to say that in the future, those cards don't become more meta relevant again and they refocus it. The only option I can see them hitting right now is Blinding Ray, but they didn't hit it now. I don't think they'll hit it in the future. Even though Magnamon is still going to be a deck. We'll talk about that later too. I think just because Hammer Spark has literally no drawback and only pluses. And even like
the drawback is putting it in your deck.
Yeah, but even then it's like, okay, I have a 48 card
I have a security
deck.
bomb.
I'm playing a blue deck. I have 48 or 49 cards. What am I putting in here? Hammer Spark. Like if you're not gonna play removal, you might as well play something that pluses you, right?
Yeah, that's basically like
both hand and
that's almost like an Upstart Goblin as well in that sense.
Yeah. And the security effect is so brutal. Like, I mean, there's still like you know, swinging into security and being like, okay, what's the worst that happens? I die. No, the worst that happens is your opponent gets their turn back, bro. Like that is actually the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, that's my thoughts on the card.
At first, I was like, "This is so random to me," and then, like, when you really think about it, they really wanted to get rid of that, like, Gabubon loop-esque deck that was happening, right? Did. Where you just keep in turn, you just keep doing it over and over and over, and this is part of it.
All this memory gaining,
all this extra free memory gaining you have. Also, like how I mentioned, like, if you have 0 security, you can still activate Blinding Ray, which is correct. And that's when it becomes like free as well when you think about it when it comes to Blind Ray, but there's no security effect. But anyways, back to Hammer Spark. I've also seen it as someone who's doing all the meta snapshots. Unfortunately, Chad, you haven't seen them just because they haven't been uploaded, unfortunately, just due to circumstances. I have been seeing Hammer Spark coming back into the game a lot more than it has previously. I was seeing it randomly in Imperial decks that was running it. Mirage was also running it. It would be like sometimes this plus Ice Wall as well. Like back in the day, it felt like where you were running, you know, 2 or 4 Hammer Spark plus the Ice Wall.
Prime Gobblebond.
Right. So I was definitely seeing Hammer Spark coming back into the game. Again, y'all said it already. No reason to reiterate as much, but free +1. And today's game is so important. And even because Varner said it's not good at early game, it can be good early game because it could be used as a defensive way of playing the game and like choking your opponent. You're right. Me personally, I hate it ever using it that way, but like people use it and it works for them, right? Yeah. So that's very still pretty good in that sense. And then obviously, if you have 4 of it, in today's game you have so much ways to draw. And you go to the Gabubon loop deck, you're drawing from the map for free. Basically, you're drawing from your hybrids because all their inheritables are like 1 attack and draw 1 or something like that. There's so many ways to draw, so I can understand why they do this. Mirage, you can draw a shit ton too sometimes if you're just like popping off. And so yeah, when you really think about it, at first I thought it was like super random. When you really think about what's going on in the meta, especially JP with that style deck, and then here as well, is like, all right, you know what? This kind of makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
All right, so some comments real quick. Joe says, "Rip blue extenders." Nah, fuck those blue extenders, bro. It's so annoying.
Yeah, blue extenders
decks
are so
already good. You're inherently good.
Blue decks are just all extenders. I feel like they all just fucking extend, and then just popping off. Like that's how I feel like. The deck is.
It's like you don't need this extra bit of piece. Shady says, I mean, people were calling for this ban in BT6 a bit late. It is late.
Yeah.
It is definitely late. But you know what they say? Better late than never.
And it was like, it was weird because Hammer Spark was like back to again. Hammer Spark was so weird because like obviously it was super prevalent in all blue decks early on. And then because decks became, I guess, more aggressive and they were like, oh, we don't need this anymore. It just fell out of the game. It felt like all blue decks.
Because like I said, they were dead cards in hand, so to say. You might not have needed that instead of needing like another
like
piece.
even like Melga was like at one point didn't play. They were just like certain blue decks preferred to have the actual bomb instead of a memory game because it was ways to, I guess, you know, who cares about the memory game at times, but like it just, you know, it started coming back again because it's so easy to just abuse memory nowadays.
To draw.
Yeah.
For me, I think it was really like it kind of like I said, it's just that free, like Dan said, like the Upstart Goblin, like it's just that like, oh, I have deck space, let me put this in. I've been playing Imperial now for years, literally years. I just took Hammerspark out of my Imperial build in BT16 because I finally ran out of deck space. I finally had cards that I was like, these are probably better.
Yeah, because Imperial, you have
Hammerspark,
your own
right?
style Hammersparks with the XV and the Sting monster. You really don't need it. Can you use it? Sure, why not? But like, you don't technically need it.
Exactly. Like I literally just was like, oh, I finally have cards like that can replace Hammerspark, and it also really helps future proof the game too. Or they're like, let me just nip this in the bud now. And this is a card that's been out since starter
this
deck.
Is probably never coming
like
back.
Day one option card, pretty much. Like
a card from that early in the game banned this late. This card is probably never coming back.
Never.
You could probably say goodbye.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
yeah,
don't think
at one,
it could
yeah.
ever come to 4 again. But it's also like, I mean, do you remember like in decks we're running I remember playing Ice Wall and Hammer Sparks in the same deck, dude.
Yeah,
like,
it was like 3 to 8, like, you know,
crazy.
3 to 6, whatever it was, 4 to 8.
Why wouldn't you play 4 Ice Wall and 4 Hammer Spark?
Yeah, that was fucking nuts. Those were the glory days.
No, absolutely not. Now I'm glad both of Blue's dumb cards are hit.
Crazy.
Literal Lucas or eHero says, goodbye, my old friend. Hopefully one day I'll see you again. You'll never see it again. Literal Lucas says, it's no longer hammer time. Absolutely not. Joe says, like, I cannot begin to how frustrating it is to get ruined by triple Hammer Spark. Yeah, when they go like, it's like one thing when they're like Hammer Spark, but then they're like, like I have all the memory I need. Hammer Spark, Hammer Spark.
Yeah. Pop off.
Come on, bro.
And that happens often. I mean, because like I've played blue decks for a long time now. Having the double Hammer Spark in your hand was like relevant always. I was like, oh yeah, Hammer Spark, pop off. We did a stream one time. I think it was after TBL or something. I was playing against Varney with Xmon, and I was playing Imperial. He was playing Xmon. I popped off with the double Hammer Spark in one turn and won the game because of it. Like that's just how it be. That card's fucking stupid.
The amount of value you get from one memory has gone up so much that this card is strong in a deck and color most known for drawing cards and comboing off. Exactly. Yep. You nailed it on the head.
And another thing to add, like obviously this says like because the speed of the game has come up and you can draw cards more often. That is so relevant. Like so maybe in BT5, right, having Hammer Spark at the multiple was fine because maybe you only saw one. But in a game where in Imperial, I can draw 6 cards.
Yeah, it's super easy to draw.
From me swinging Pyeldramon twice, I can draw 6 cards, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's fucking insane.
Because you're not once per turn. Yeah, that is crazy.
Like, that's fucking crazy. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a relevant hit. When I first saw it, I definitely had that shock factor. I was like, that seems like a weird thing to hit. But it makes sense, like, looking at it. And I want to add, I think that Bandai does that to me a lot. Like, they will hit a card, and my initial first reaction is always like, I don't like that.
Yeah, remember, like, what was it? Was it Grandis for you back then?
No,
it was Grandis.
We knew that was coming.
It was a couple cards on that ban list with Grandis because for me, it was like, I don't understand why they chose to hit these cards now instead of when they were actually an issue. Because at that point, Grandis had like tapered off.
Right.
Like this was like 2 or 3 sets later. And Grandis had like died, had like no, like it was like topping, but it was not winning. So I was like, I don't understand why you hit these cards now. It made no sense to me. Like they waited so many such a fucking long time to hit Melga originally, right? And I was like, it makes no sense to me why they decided to wait this long ass time and hit it now. But looking back at that list now, we have the featured card, like we have the cards that they were thinking of back then. It makes sense why they hit them, right? Like I know that Melga would have been fucking ridiculous if it had that promo now. And so it's all, what's the word I'm looking for? Fucking, I don't know.
Stupid.
Stupid. Yeah,
It would have been stupid. Ray says, I think Hammer Spark is way stronger than the others because there was no cost outside of playing the card. And I keep saying that because that's what everybody said the cost for playing the card was. The fact that you have to dedicate deck space to it. But, Mike already touched on that. The others all had a weakness of some kind. They didn't gain you memory for literally nothing. Nighthawk does have a point that Dan said. Blinding Ray doesn't require it. It just trashes if it can. You can still go from 3 to, 6 essentially.
Yeah.
I agree. That's why I do think all the memory gaining cards should be hit, because let's look at it in this light. Merva Cross was the biggest abuser of both Gravity Crush and Blinding Ray, and the drawbacks didn't matter if they won that turn.
Yep.
So if the drawbacks of putting the card in the deck don't matter, it shouldn't be there.
Yeah, so for me personally, like I know in the past, like long time ago, 15 sets ago, whatever at this point, when we were talking about Hammer Spark being hit back then, for my argument back then was always that Hammer Spark only gains you 1 memory, but the others were all gaining you multiple memory. That was always my argument back then. Was that like Blinding Ray gains 2, Gravity Crush gains 2, and there are drawbacks to it, but it still gained more than just playing Hammer Spark. So you had to play multiple Hammer Sparks to even get the same effect as a Blinding Ray. That was my argument back then. Now I just don't think it really matters.
No, because like Literal Lucas said, like what is the value of 1 memory? Is 1 memory worth 1 card? Absolutely. Look at blue decks. There's a reason they're playing it. Yeah. And yellow, black, red decks aren't playing their respective memory gain cards. Unless there's like a secondary purpose to it, right? Like Red Hybrid. What is the worth of Gravity Crush if you're winning that turn?
Right.
So, and Jack Raid, I think the next card to get hit should be Jack Raid, because realistically, that's just as toxic. Like, yes, you have to set up a trash. You're only gaining
super
1 for every 10.
Of what purple does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, before MDF got hit, I remember being like, Jack Raid is fucking absolutely the most broken bullshit ever, dude.
Than Hammer Spark, right?
You could gain fucking 3-4 memory off Jack Raid.
And you have a card in purple that says when you use this free card, gain 2 more.
Yep. And like in purple, the entire, I don't want to subjugate purple's entire identity to putting cards in trash, but for the most fucking part, that's purple's entire identity. So like having a fucking card that just is like, that's a free plus in my opinion. Like, I get paid off for doing what my deck was gonna do regardless.
So Joel, yes, Jack Raid requires setup, but if your deck is inherently setting it up, what's the downside?
None.
Like, sure, Fenry's not playing it, but that's because Fenry doesn't fucking need it. They got it built in.
Shit.
Anubis didn't need it, but again, Anubis had cards on stack that literally did the same thing. When you play Digimon, gain memory. When you trash cards, gain memory. And it's also a gain 2 in security.
And you're running 7 to 8 training and then mem boost in that anyway. So
like purple's entire identity is like, it's a second blue color, because that's another color that draws, searches, but then also trashes and is benefiting from trashing. And now they have a card that says, hey, you put 10 cards in trash, have 1 memory. You have Lilithmon, gain 2 more. Lilith also returns that card back to hand. Let's do it again. Like, this is the entire reason loop decks are a thing. And cards that read that way are cards that should definitely be looked at, whether Mike said it earlier, whether they're meta or not. If a card, actually, hold on. Literal Lucas right here. If a card reads, win the game, but you lose next turn, it has no downsides. If it reads, win the game. And that's what loop decks do. It doesn't matter. Like, you're doing this entire thing. What is it? Myotis loop. I'm going to combo off so that I can try to win in that 1 turn. Trash all your security, swing for game. Lilith loop. Mill, facilitate all my memory gaining to mill you out so that you can't win. Like, if cards read that way, they should be looked at for hitting. And I think Jack Raid is the next biggest offender, because all it takes is what, like, we already saw it with Anubis. They might not have needed Jack Raid because of what the entire line facilitated. But all it takes is 1 card in purple to say, hey, another benefit from playing options or another reason to loop. And boom, purple meta and Jack Raid probably should be hit.
Hey, I just want to say it's fitting that, purple has that blue aspect to it because Vmon is in the art for Jack Raid. Makes sense. Tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. No, but I also just think it's kind of funny. Like I said earlier, like Jack Raid is the entire identity for loop decks in purple. Like blue, like that is its entire identity for some of those decks, which is wild. They're not meta relevant, so just I guess we can move on to the next card.
Yep. Next card, the Magnamon hit that everybody wanted, but nobody wanted in a way. So BT9 Awakening of the Golden Knight. This card is used in decks that mainly use, I don't know why they say mainly, because
it's only.
It's that translation thing. This card is used in decks that utilize the shit out of BT16 Magnamon X Antibody, which has a high usage rate in recent game environments. When combined with cards such as level 3 cards that support Digivolution, Patamon, it was possible to keep BT16 Magnamon X on the board early on and move toward attacking. The above play is very powerful and creates situations that many decks can't handle. To fix this issue, we decided to say, fuck this card. So yeah, Awakening of the Golden Knight. This was definitely the right hit to both put a kneecap vaccine armors, as well as kind of like kick the blue armors and say, like, please try. Please try. Me personally, I don't give a fuck. I hated this. I love this card and I simultaneously hated this card because I always saw it and it was never, that's why I was never a fan of playing Hammer Sparks, because for me personally, I always drawn to it at the wrong times and I never needed it. That's this card. I always drew this card and I never needed it, or it was in security and it never did anything for me. So for me, this card as a one of in blue armors was fine. Vaccine armors though. I mean, they played 4 of this card because that's how you went from Rapidmon into Magna X. So then I said, right in the kneecaps, vaccine armor, hold this L. So, hey, I ain't got no problems with the hit.
Yeah, I mean, so in my head, this is Bandai saying, we do not want you playing yellow vaccine. Stop that. Go play the blue armor base like we fucking God intended, for fuck's sake. Stop playing that yellow vaccine armor bullshit. That's fucked up. We just want you to play blue base now, please.
Yeah, that's so true.
For sure. Again, as someone who's looking at regionals and Ulti Cup stuff, both versions were running this at a 3 to 3. I should say 2, because I saw some blue was 2, some were 3.
I think
I know
most
this
blue
card
were 2, right?
Yeah, it was 2 to 3. I used to see it varied on honestly the person. It was so, when it came to the options of blue versions, it was very
all over the place.
What did you like? How'd you like to run it? Definitely seen this at a higher number for some people, honestly. But yellow vaccine, this was definitely yellow vaccine-esque. It hit both decks obviously in a way. Obviously blue armors can evo into Magna X with no problem out this, but you're gonna be paying a higher cost now.
Hey, I always paid that 5 cost. I said, have this 5 memory.
Versus yellow vaccines, you needed it. You definitely need this card if you want to go from a Rapidmon into a Magna X, right? Because you need to. You can't evo into Magna X period without it. Again, this was a card you see at 3 of. The card was super important for that deck to get to that Magna X bridge. I think now moving forward for yellow vaccine armor style decks, if they still want to play, I think Rapid X is probably as important if you run that deck.
They're not. I can guarantee you. We'll probably see a couple tops, but
people are still gonna play the deck. Let's stop.
Yeah, I know they are, but what I'm saying is, I don't think people who played vaccine armors were a very special type of people, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Well, I think they played that deck because of what the deck facilitated.
Sure,
and they got not 1 but 2 hits.
Sure, but there's gonna be fans that still
They're gonna try,
running.
yes.
But like I said, Rapid X is gonna be more important than it was previously because obviously you don't have that bridge anymore. So now you actually have to use your level 5s in a better way. But I mean, there's also ways to get it for not bad because if you go to the 5, you can just go Emissary into your Magna X from that. So like you're okay, you could do combos. You're just not as strong with the combo against the Magna X.
Yeah, you can't fucking. Hopefully, you can't really just do it turn 2 and then be able to hold up your shields for the rest of the game, especially because of the second hit that this deck got, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah. Side note.
Yes, yellow vaccine, not yellow vaccine arms. A little different.
Yeah, different. Definitely different. Side note. I've been thinking about this since Dan mentioned Diabormon earlier. We don't have like a good way for token distribution in this game, but you can get tokens that you can draw on. And I was just doodling on this, and I was like, I should tell other people about this. I don't know if other people know you can do this. Yeah. In Magic, I just have like a bunch of
like a blank Magic cards, right?
They're dry erase board tokens.
Oh, okay.
So I've been doodling, and I was just like, oh shit, I could tell the fans about this if they.
And that's Mike's sponsored post. Who's the sponsor, Mike?
I wish I was sponsored by something. That's just ADHD, brother.
Joe says, this wasn't horrible, but man, I've been playing the updated version of V Armor with this at 1. Not gonna lie, it feels much better since you can sub the training cards in full search. Exactly. Yep. I played trainings. I had no problems with training. I actually would prefer to go Protoform into Magna X for 4 than this for 3. Because at least with Protoform, if for whatever reason I can't get protection up, I still get to recover. Whether I'm bottom, like it doesn't matter how I leave. Protoform recovers and I get a source back. If that's Magnamon, cool. If it's my Vmon that I need, cool. I much preferred Protoform than Awakening.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it, but you can also return to the Primogenitor into a Magnamon X antibody.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to bring that up in case anyone says it later. You can do that. One of your Digimon may Digivolve into a level 5 or higher Digimon card with the free trait in the hand.
And the cost reduced by 4. So you pay 3, the same cost as this. The only prereq is that you have to have a blue and a green source. So you have to play
Davis and Ken.
So yeah, Awakening, good hit. Definitely kneecaps armors, and is like a slap on the wrist for blue armors. Next card, the dirty motherfucker. All right, Numa X. When using Numamon decks, this card has high board retention from the beginning of the game, and its inherited effect can be reused when combined with other cards. Monze X. Sorry, not Monze X. Monzemon, right? Allowing this single card to significantly increase the ability to control the entire deck. In addition, since a level 6 can also be played by its effect, it's easy to digivolve from their level 7 Ruin mode, which has a higher output to create a one-sided control board at an early stage. For the above reasons, we expect that this card will play a very large role in the deck, resulting in a loss of diversity in the cards included. For the above reason, fuck this slimy ass bitch. Let me tell you something. Numa X, I know.
Let me as the Numa main out here.
Fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll let Dan take point.
We got to pour one for the homie. This is such a sad day for us Numa players, you know what I'm saying? We got to pour one for the homie, you know what I'm saying? This man made the deck so good. I told you from the moment that was a review for JP how good this card was. How good. You're fucking toxic.
That's like burning a jersey, bro. This dude's crazy.
Right? You see this card?
When your favorite player gets traded, you burn the jersey. Dude. That's what just happened.
I knew off the rip how good this was. Like I said, when JP reviews were happening for Numamon X all y'all looked at me like I was crazy because you're like, who cares? And then I was like, bro, you can play Platinum Numamon for free. Like, you don't understand how easy that is. And like
level 6.
Again, people didn't understand that concept in the beginning. And they didn't understand that concept because APOC was around for BT15, right? And especially in JP. And then you had the one guy that came through and said, yo, hold his L. And then obviously since that moment on, and then APOC got hit, Numamon's been running the show. This card was amazing. to for the deck. Realistically, like I understood why I thought it was this or Monzi X. I picked Monzi X for me personally just because Monzi X just snowballs like crazy, especially if you're able to get 2, 3 on board. That thing also gives you second attack +1 basically at low 5, and that was always an issue for a lot of decks that's gotten hit, right? You're swinging at your low 5 with a lot of damage, and that was the thing. That's why I thought maybe Monzi X would get hit. But this card right here, again, they said it right. It sets you up. It lets you, get to a level 7, no problem. You can go into decks. You could go to room mode. You could go to Omnion Mercy mode for those people that have played it. You can even go to Quartz mode because Quartzmon, that's what was GFG Tyler was doing at his last iterations. You could go into Zor Defeat if you wanted to because of Platinum being black and yellow. Fantastic, right? And then when it dies, you flow on anything. It doesn't have to be a Monzimon or Numon. You're floating regardless just because it's under the source, which is great. Now moving forward, what's going to happen? Since now we've seen all 3 cards that's been hit. I know people were talking about
Numon's a dead deck.
No, it is not a dead deck by any means. It just lowered the power level.
I can't roll my eyes enough.
It lowered the power level of this deck. And for those people that's going to see Numon top, because it will still top, and they're going to be shocked and they're going to be crying about it, just remember this right here. I told y'all so, because it's going to happen. Hey, it took out,
can I just say,
in total, 7 cards in total, because you run this at 4, you run the other Uko at 4, and then you run Louis at 2, right? So that means that's 7 cards in total that's hit. The moment you see this card turn 1, you always have availability to it, right? You just won't be popping off with it in the sense of multiple out in one turn. But because of Monzimons being able to be on play, and then I think it's just on play, being able to tuck this is always going to be a live card once the moment it goes to the trash. So now
but
you have
they
to kind
don't
of
have memory
smart.
gating as easy. So
Correct.
now that Monzemon that was also gaining memory because it plays down for essentially 5 doesn't feel as bad.
Correct. So, and then Monzi X is still around. And the moment, the starter deck comes out, Monzimon can make a stack swing 3 checks. So that's going to be potentially a thing as well. So like, I will just watch out for this. This is not a dead deck. You need to still worry about Numon. It's just going to be in a different style. Just a different version, just a toned down version. But Monzi X is still gonna pop the F off, and y'all gonna still be tight that Monzi X is doing Monzi X things.
Can I just say, I think this hit finally, like whoever was playing Numa X Numamon because it was, meta, it was the helmet deck, yada yada yada, whatever you say about it. They're not gonna be playing whether it's Imperial or Ancient Guru, it doesn't matter. Now we're actually going to see like the Numa enjoyers have fun. Yeah, sure, your Numa X is hit, but the deck is still good. And if you were a person who was like, oh, like I like Numa, but I don't like that it's meta, it's still going to be meta. It's just not going to be fucking stupid. It's going to be a fairer deck that has a lot of control elements, and it's not so much a rush deck, right? Because that's what it was before. It was like this very aggro rush and also control deck. Now it's like, all right, we don't have the memory gaining Ukomon to be ignorant. We don't have recursion as much. So now it matters a lot more. Now you're a little bit more of a control deck. That's why I personally think Monze X is fine. Another note is that they were never going to hit Monze X because the trend shows Greymon X, Ruru X, they hit the engine pieces. Why was Greymon X hit? Because it allowed you to, they said protection doesn't matter. It allowed you to go into, what's it called?
Metal Greymon for 1.
Metal Greymon for 1. Ruru X was just fucking stupid. Draw 2, trash 2.
Yeah, but those cards were obviously stupid. This one, because of how good Monzi X, it was definitely a toss-up.
Sure, it is. But at the same time, what do you hate more? Do you hate that when you get rid of a stack by deletion, or it dies to battle because it's an on deletion, that you can float out these level 6s or even a level 5 because it's just a, well, yeah, there's no Numon level name. Actually, no, you could play King.
Black King Numon.
Black King Numon. So you could float out anything from a level 4 to level 6 just by way of this, which is strong. Recursion is strong. Or the negging that Monte X is capable of on an every turn basis. this is the engine piece. You know, this is the piece that kicks everything off. For a lot of people, it's like, if I don't see Numa X, damn, like that's tough. Sure, Monze X is strong. I'm not saying it's not strong, and I'm not saying it's not a card that, you know, should be looked at in the future. But to kneecap the deck right now and still have it relevant, this was definitely the hit. This is the one that slows it down. You get rid of that recursion. It's now a lot more important to think about when you use this card, because, like, for example, Imperial, if they strip this and then they bottom deck it because they have a Paladin mode, or if you come up against some random ass purple deck playing Black God or Uber, like, it does matter. One-ofs matter, right? Like, I think that's the point we got to earlier. So it does require you to just think a little bit more about how you're using this card and how you're going to sequence your plays, because everything just isn't so helmet now. So the Numa enjoyers, fret not. The deck is still good. Y'all just got to think of, you got to build it a little bit differently. But you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. I, for one, I'm just glad that I don't have to be like, funny enough, Numamon has always been like an issue for me, but I've never struggled. I never minded playing against Numamon as much as I fucking hated playing against Ancient Guru. But that's also because I have a very high distaste for hybrid decks in general, because blue hybrid and then red hybrid, and now we're back to blue hybrid. Like, I've always been aggravated by hybrid decks. Numamon, I was fine with. I'm happy to see it get hit. But, you know.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll probably go back to like that BT15 style where you run Agu X and then like Cool Boy, because now you want to try search this card as fast as possible. So you have those cards to search that quicker. It might be more beneficial than without it anymore.
And you still have a very good card in Monze X. You still can play Adamon. So you still can adopt that ace style top end. Like, you can probably put Plat down to 1.
I would say, what? Huh?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just snowball. I'm not a Numamon player. I heard a person. His name is a name that topped the TBL. Renegade Sora. He put Plat into 1. He said he liked Plat at 1.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess because you're not using it the same way anymore, I guess, as possible.
Yeah.
But it's also one Digivolve in effect as well to gain 2 memory. So like, that's why I think it's still a viable card. But anyways, because I just don't know, you haven't built it, but shit, I lost train of thought because you said that. Fuck, I don't remember what I was gonna say.
I don't know. It's still good.
I remember.
It's still a toolbox deck.
Yeah, I was about to say, Numamon is probably the most versatile deck in all of Digimon ever, I think, and so I think it'll just adapt again.
Yeah, it's good. It won't have that like, I'm gonna hit you in the face rush aspect as much. It's just going to be a lot more of like a board spam and like kind of control deck, which I think is fair.
I'm assuming with the promo to 1 now, and with maybe like, so do you just run more of the black floodgates now? Do you just run black?
You can,
man.
or like I mentioned before,
Kokuamon.
Like I mentioned before, run the Agumon that kind of replaces what promo does with the memory gain. You can run the Agu X with it to gain that search, because you want to search out your Numa X if that's possible. Plus the Cool Boy, stuff like that. So I think that's how I would go back to building it for me personally. But we'll see what happens.
No, but yes, but run Kokuamon. Like, it says that's a card all turns. Players can't ignore Digievolution requirements. So Lobomon says this Digimon may Digivolve into Ancient Guru, ignoring its Digievolution requirements.
Correct.
That's still good. That is still really good. Like, it's still going to be a good black toolbox deck. It's just not going to be, it's not going to have every element it had before. Before it was aggro, but it was also control. It can play at every stage of the game, early, mid, and late. Now, I mean, it still can, but it's just not as powerful. It's a fair deck now. It's a much fairer deck.
This man, Literal Lucas said, can we ban Dan?
Yeah, let's ban Dan. Supreme Guy said, fuck Numamon.
Oh, no.
The ability to have this guy anywhere on the field and look at your opponent and say, go on, delete it, see what happens. Yeah, big thing there. Let's see. Shady says, actually, so sad they hit Numa over Monze. Same reasons one-ofs suck. Yeah, I mean, one-ofs are always going to suck. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see how prevalent Numamon stays, if Monze X is a card that we should look at hitting in the future. But you don't want to set out to murder the deck, right? Like,
Yeah, I think those people were whoever said that is like, y'all need to relax. We shouldn't be just trying to murder decks just to murder them just because they were good for a long time.
We need to bring power levels down, but we don't need to go the Konami route of fucking saying, all right, that deck done, right? We just need to bring power. Ban lists and restriction lists should be to bring the power level of decks down to let other decks flourish. It shouldn't be to say, all right, that deck's done. That deck's done. Like, what about the players that actually enjoy those decks? Then you're saying fuck those players.
And don't get me wrong, there are some times where you do just need to murder a deck, though. Like Apocleamon is a good example. Like you needed to just murder that deck. Like there are times,
but there was only one way to murder that. There was only one way to actually like bring the power level down.
They tried their best to bring the power.
Homie.
Yeah, they tried their best to bring the power level down for that deck, but sometimes you do just need to murder that card. And I think they did it, and I want to say they did a good job, I think, of really bringing the power level down for Ancient Garurumon too. Like, in my head originally, I was like, I think so. I think that it really stops a lot of the variants. Red base is basically dead now. You can't run it without 8 Ukos.
Don't run red base if you're going to play Ancient.
It's unplayable, I think, at this point.
Yeah, why would you?
Yeah, I agree with you completely, Varney. Obviously the Agu loop, or Gabu loop version is like fun. Yeah, it's like
you don't have that either. Yeah.
So like they really like in my head I was like, oh, I think because originally I was like, I don't know what they hit from Ancient Guru to really like harm that deck, because in my Ancient Garurumon is the problem card in my head. I'm like, that card's just fucking too good.
It reads to be stupid, just like Mirage. It's
just too good. But I think they did a good job of lowering it, and I'm anxious to see these regionals coming up to see what the results actually are.
Yeah,
heavy agree. All right,
at least they tried. I will say they tried. You know, they did try.
They did try. Moving on.
BT14
kid. BT14 TK Takaishi. Having multiples of this motherfucker in play makes it easy to continuously and significantly increase memory, guaranteeing stability in yellow vaccine decks that we already tried to hit with Geogray and other decks that use this card. Also, this card's role throughout the entire game becomes significant since the effect, which increases or decreases the security cards, can be activated for a low memory cost, i.e. 2 all the way to like fucking +3, +4.
This card is so dumb.
On top of this, having memory gained after recovery effects lets the player do more and makes matches take excessively longer. Can confirm. For these reasons, fuck this card.
Let me tell you something about TK. That and it was like, yo, I'm tired. And I was really like, yo, I'm tired, y'all yellow users going to time.
Let me tell you something about TK. Joe Mojo says, get fucked. Literal Lucas says, it's one less TK to proc the Recover on Hope on the Emissary option. Yeah. Having multiple of this is the same feeling as having multiple BT16. Yes, but also no. Let me tell you about this card. If your game plan as a deck is to open up Patamon TK and 3 other cards, Patamon is a card that should always be looked at because it's a card that digivolves for free. And that can, I mean, we saw it abused with Rapidmon. It's a card that should always be looked at, but I like that they didn't hit it because it still leaves yellow with a viable rookie, like a very, very good rookie. And Emissary not getting hit. Let me just talk about Emissary real quick. Why would you want the card that is already played at 1 to 2 to be hit to 1 instead of the card that is played at 4 and sets up the security? Why? I would love for anybody who is on that train to let me know, because I don't understand it. I'm very open to hearing your opinion, but Emissary, as problematic as a card that it can be, is a card that's like HPD. And if you're going to hit it, it should just be fucking banned. It shouldn't be restricted to 1 because it's already a card that is played at 1, maybe 2. TK and Patamon are the engine. So if you're going to hit a card, it's one of those two. Why hit the Patamon when you could hit the card that sets up for Patamon, right? If you open Patamon TK, you play TK, you pull a card from security to hand, and then you rig your security for Patamon next turn. And then that means next turn, even if you're put to 1, you go to 3. Like, I don't understand. Like, this was the right hit to fucking not only kneecap vaccine armors, but to curb what can really feel like an unfair game plan from yellow vaccine decks at times. Because it doesn't matter. Like, vaccine armors is a great deck, don't get me wrong, but we were seeing yellow vaccine decks top. I played against a yellow vaccine deck that fucking won I think it was an Ultimate Cup, and TK Snowball. You say, all right, cool. Recover 1, all of a sudden I'm at 6 memory. What? I put you to 1.
Yeah, for sure.
The
When we get multiple on that shit is so dumb. And then
brutal.
It's so funny. We just got a comment saying the TK hurts more than yellow vac players will admit, and we had that exact same thing that happened in our group chat with Lance, because Lance is his
Lance
main
is
deck
like,
right now.
I think I relied on TK a lot more than I thought I did.
Wait, let's backtrack. Let's backtrack a little. When the first he was like, "Yo, I don't care about TK," I was like, "Bro, what are you talking about?" Yes, you do. And then like later on, he's like, "Damn, I didn't realize I relied on TK so much." Yeah, stupid, because you Magna X play. Yo, the one thing I hate about yellow vaccine armor players is that because they're so like, that deck is more defensive, I feel like, than like blue base. They just take their they go to the Magna X and then they just wall up and they just sit there. They sometimes attack, but then the whole point was them with TK. Once you get that stacked out, it's like, play TK next turn, play TK. Next turn, play TK.
Yeah.
I've legit dealt with that at the regionals, and that's why I went so long that game 1, because all he kept doing was doing that, and it's super frustrating to see, because like it's so dumb for no reason to just do that. I thought I was on the emissary train because, again, you say 1 of, but again, I've seen a lot of deck lists that was more than 1 of.
Sure,
it was
some
2
run
to
2 to 3
easy. Because I always think, to me, cards that say, hey, this is basically a free Evo, I think that's not good for the game. I think that's why MDF is free banned. That's why HPD is at 1. So my logic is that if HPD is at 1, that card should be at 1 of as well. And then we'll see what happens with TK. But
I don't disagree.
TK being hit at you is like, now you think about it, it's like, okay, sure, if you have it turn 1, great, but now you won't have that snowball effect of like, all right, can I get 2 on board? Because you go from 2 to 5
to 4
instantly, right, or whatever. And now Patamon, that turn 1 Patamon or turn 0 or whatever, and no TK, you can't guarantee.
You're playing the game of gotcha, baby.
You can't guarantee that 4 is in your security anymore, because you're not placing it and you don't know yourself, right? So I think that's what's super important. So now that turn 0, you go Patamon, play something else. I don't know, a training boost, right? So now you raise that Pata. There's a huge chance you whiff, and if you whiff, then you're not getting that memory. Now maybe you play the training boost instead. Now you have to reduce Evo into maybe a rapid mod if you're playing vaccine armor 2 or something. And now that combo doesn't feel as strong, right? You're not as powerful as you was previously. And then whatever happens after that happens after that, right? I think that's what's super important, to not have the snowball effect of the TKs, and clearly time, because that's what was important to Bandai. The fact that they mentioned that about matches to take excessively longer is so funny to me, because it's so true. I just didn't think they would actually like acknowledge that part of it, of the card. But it's a super good hit. Definitely needed.
A vaccine turn can take forever. It's funny because they're like, I'm going to look at my security to spend like, I don't know, 15, 30 seconds looking at security. 100%. Then I'm going to digivolve. I have like 4 effects to resolve, gain memory. Then I'm going to digivolve some more. If you're playing Angels, Magna Angemon lets you look at security and digivolve again. And then you have more effects to resolve. Like, you can definitely have an easy 5-minute turn with yellow vaccine, not even slow playing. Just by the way of resolution of effects and everything. Yeah, so the replacement for those type of decks of TK, I don't know fully. Maybe you have to play more of the OG TK to get to like, be able to grab something from security. I think it depends on the style of deck. Because like armor vaccine, right? You're not going to be able to rig the rapid mon as easily. Right, they already played it at 2, so I don't know if that's something they go up to like 3 of the OG TK. I don't remember what the newer was. Someone said EX was a newer TK after this one. Sure, there's a TK in Kari, but it's not.
Yeah, but it doesn't do anything relevant.
We
right?
don't talk about that card. No,
So
not at
like,
all. There's no card other than your 2 TKs and any card that digivolves to rig your security.
right. So like, I think the only thing you just do is what, because sometimes again, training wasn't like guaranteed as well. You go from 2 to 4 training boosts now, and then hope for the best. Because now you need another way to searcher. I think Kudamon becomes more important now, right? The Kudamon searcher that says grab a tamer and grab a yellow vaccine card. That becomes a more important card because now you want to try to search out this card as fast as possible.
Another thing that's important is, I mean, they were already playing Ukomon, but Ukomon is, well, some of them, I should say, were playing Ukomon. So now Ukomon might be even more important for them because now they need more ways to facilitate consistency. I can tell you for me as a former Yellow enjoyer, I'm glad to see this hit because as much as I thought I would enjoy Armor Vaccine, I built it once, I played it, and I fucking hated it. I hated the play style of it, and I hated like its game plan. I never liked it. I'm much more of an enjoyer of like, I love Angels, and so to
For
Dan's
Angel
point of like,
players, this hurts.
it does hurt, but I think Angels is a lot more resilient because what Angels is capable of doing, like you would like this, but you're generally just digivolving more naturally. You have a Magna Angemon that looks at your security. If it digivolves, then you get to rig your security, and that's how you can set your security up.
For sure.
So they have a built-in way of being able to set up for the Minimon's effect, the Magna Angemon effect, the Patamon effect. But depending on the style of vaccine deck you play, yeah, this TK hit does hurt a lot. Vaccine Armors takes the biggest hit. I think both Angel Vaccine, Mitama Vaccine, they're okay with it because Mitama is just like, all right, cool. Well, I was trashing my security anyways. I would like to put a Patamon in there, but I'm okay with not. I'm just gonna trash it, play shit out, and I'm just trying to rush for game.
Probably the BT15 Kari now, I guess. Too sometimes I don't remember what it does.
Yeah, they'll rely on probably like Gino. So Gino topped TBL last night with a Yellow Vaccine list. And he was playing like Revelation and Kari. Revelation is a great card. It plays a level 4 lower from security, and then it puts itself back on top of security if you have a Kari in play. So like it pushes diversity, right? And I think that obviously that's Bandai's intention. They want diversity, it pushes diversity. Let's see. I'm just thankful I didn't get this TK for my Goldramon deck. Money saved. Yep. Yeah, they're just going to sub in BT15 Kari. Might as well. Benjamin says, Lance loves playing decks where he can do unfair stuff that is kept by expensive cards. So Magna X Yellow Vaccine is perfect for him. Supreme Guy says, 2 TK probably. TK Kari is all right. Purple Kari is best option now. And Arkai too. Yeah, Arkai Angemon does the same thing as BT16 Magna Angemon. So like those cards for an Angel deck become a lot more important if you weren't playing them. I remember reading a Facebook post. Somebody was like, I don't like this card because I just don't think it does enough. And they were basically just playing aces. And I'm like, I mean, sure, you can play it that way. But then you have technically 4 ways of guaranteed security manipulation. You have your one of TK now, and then 3 TK memory tamers. I guess, what is that card called? It's that Angel option, the 5-cost Angel option. I'm looking it up right now. It is called Descent of the 3 Great Angels. You may place 1 Digimon card with Angel, Archangel, or 3 Great Angels from your hand at the bottom. Then you place of your security stack. Then you place this card in battle area. Then when one of your Digimon with Angel or Archangel trait is deleted, you can delay it to search your security and play one. So like that becomes important, but that's also a 5-cost option. So like, I think that's like one of the biggest things about Yellow as a whole.
So what I'm hearing is basically is that with this TK hit, generic Yellow Vaccine stuff is not good, but like decks like Angels who are based around Yellow Vaccine Angel stuff that does what it's supposed to do is okay. We're curbing generic as Yellow Vaccine style decks, which is armors because they're all Yellow Vaccine generic, good stuff, whatever. That's what I'm hearing. It sounds like. So Angel stuff might be all right for those people who love it. Obviously, this power level card is not there anymore, but they still be all right.
Yes. Supreme Kai says Descent is costs a lot, and exactly, and that's the point that I was going to get to. manipulating your security shouldn't be so easy. It shouldn't cost so little, especially when it's like, oh, like I pulled the top to hand, I put the Rapidmon on the bottom. Now I'm set up for the TK or for the Patamon. I can come up, Digivolve the Rapid, then the Patamon lets me tuck a card. So I'm going to tuck Rapid X because then I'm going to Emissary into the Rapid X because I can do that. Like that shouldn't be easy. And now it's not. Now you need to pay. Well, first of all, you probably, good luck facilitating that now. But then also for decks like Angels, EX6 Egg also lets you mess with your security. Right. Cupimon from EX6 lets you add top to hand. And that's a one attacking at that. By adding top to your hand, you may place an Angel, Archangel, 3-grade Angel from your hand to bottom. That becomes important as well. Like it does become important, but it's also when attacking. So like there's more downsides to manipulating your security. And I think that's the big thing about just yellow decks or any recovery based deck in general. Like there should be it shouldn't necessarily be so easy to just manipulate your security and be like, ha, I got you, bitch. Like it's just dumb. Or what I've had happen, your opponent has 4 TKs on board, right? And then they play a Magna Angemon and they recover 1. And then they say, I'll tap all 4 TKs and I'll just gain 1. It's like, huh? So you got to play your free level 5, recover 1, gain memory, go into a level 6 for free, and then probably go into ruin mode after that and say, fuck you. And I'm just like, okay, buddy. Like, I like this hit. It kneecaps yellow vaccine decks a lot, and yellow vaccine decks are still viable. It just makes it a lot more difficult. And that's the purpose. We shouldn't be trying to kill decks. We should be trying to bring their power levels down. This brings power level down, and I think that's completely fair. Mike, do you have any other thoughts on this before we move on?
No, you guys pretty much touched on everything I would have said anyways. I got nothing.
All right, so the last card is a card that was lifted from the restriction list. Good old Starter Deck 6 Gabumon. In past game environments when this card was widely used, by combining it with a Digimon that had an effect to let it attack consecutively, Loga, and activating its inherited effect that doesn't have once per turn multiple times, it increased the speed and consistency of decks that made use of the trash. However, as the card pool has increased in recent game environments, there are now more ways to suppress attacks. Aces. Because of this, we have determined that it has become more difficult to consistently activate this card's effect multiple times compared to before. Therefore, this card is now unrestricted. Okay.
I'm gonna be real. They could have unbanned the other Gabumon too at this point.
I'll tell you why they didn't ban that, but before that, Mike, do you have any thoughts?
No, I mean, I agree with Bandai's reasoning, actually.
Yeah.
I think this card mainly got hit because of decks like Anubis and Apoclymon.
Not mainly. It
Not
was because of
Anubis.
APOC.
Well,
It was APOC and Melga, yeah.
Yeah.
yes. So, it's fine.
Literal Lucas said, and before someone calls for on-delete Gabu to come off, called it.
All right,
so, this card was a Melga hit. This card was a APOC hit. My reasoning on why on-delete Gabu hasn't come off and probably won't come off at least for a couple sets. The reason, I mean, it's kind of within the reason that they stated here. They unbanned this one because of multiple times when attacking. But the reasons, if we take a look at the Eismon and the other Gabumon, let me find it real quick. That started X6, BT2. It is very versatile among the hand exchange effects, blah, blah, blah. So basically, you can draw and trash really easy. And since it's a level 3, you can combine that with the Eismon scatter mode to basically facilitate a trash. Because, right, it's a draw 6 trash 4 on a perfect stack, right? And so the reason that I think they won't let this come off, at least anytime soon, is because they don't like that easy draw trash. Like, they're fine with the when attacking, but they're not fine with the idea of the engine that was used for APOC. And although it wasn't used for Anubis, you could use it for other similar purple decks that require trash setup like Myota Spawn. And so I think these cards stay on for a while until we get more trash hate. We already see trash hate in Paladin mode, and it'll trickle its way down. We're going to see level 6s and level 5s that do more sort of return cards to deck. We already have the Black Auto Uber that does it. I think once we get more trash bottoming effects we'll see Aizmon and Gabumon come off. But until then, I think those cards stay permanently on the list.
Yeah. I mean, I think another reason why those cards are also on the list and the other one came off, you mentioned it before, is ace effects. If you ace me and delete my Aizmon and my Gabu, I don't care.
Thank you.
Still get to draw. It was better than risking my jamming scatter mode into security anyways. Thank you for giving me fucking 5 cards in my hand. And then I get to trash. What is it? 3, 4? I forget how many you trash. I think you trash.
Aizmon is a draw 3, trash 2.
Yep.
On delete, Gabu is a draw 2, trash 1, and then Demimare is a draw 1, trash 1.
Yeah.
Hey, now you go with the new one, draw 2, trash 1. Well, trash 1, draw 2.
Yeah, rare. Is it Raremon you're talking about?
BT, no, BT15 Demimare.
Oh,
For the
you
egg,
have to
so it's
trash.
another draw.
Is it a generic trash 1 draw 2, or is it trash level 5 to draw 2?
Yeah, level 5 or higher, but you still can do that, no problem. But I'm saying you get another draw.
Depending, right? But depending on like what your deck facilitates, you might not want to trash. You might not work on trashing level 5s.
Trash depending. But
so those cards are still here, and they won't come off for a minute because purple, like they definitely wanted to hit. They don't want purple doing generic purple shenanigans the same way they don't want blue doing some of its generic blue shenanigans. That's why I think Gabumon stays there. It'll come off at some point, just not until we get more trash hate. Let's see. Shady says TK getting hit on the ban list is why Greymon X stayed locked up. That's the headcanon I'm rolling with. Walker says take them both off and Gabu X2 for posterity.
Yeah,
Decking doing anything without Karuto X.
You're bugging.
Benjamin says Gabu X is crazy powerful, so no, compare him to either Agu X. Yeah, so all right, let's talk about well, before we talk about the cards that stayed and whatnot, let's talk about the cards that we wish were hit. Who wants to go first?
Mirage.
Yeah, I'm surprised Mirage.
Just simple Mirage.
Yeah.
I'd probably, not probably. I agree. I think no matter what, I'm happy with the ban list. I'm just upset that Mirage didn't get hit. And I'm mainly upset that it didn't get hit out of principle. Jesmon was nerfed fucking immediately, right? Greymon immediately. Shine Gray, sure, it wasn't a Shine Gray hit, but it still took a hit. Mirage has been good since BT13.
I'm surprised they didn't
topped.
At least because my understanding was they were going by off the Gao pie charts, and Mirage was, the second biggest pie of the
it still
pie
does
chart.
Things.
And so I'm surprised, like maybe not hit Mirage itself, but hit something in the deck at least, lower the power or something. Shit, hit Zudo to 1 or something. I don't know what they could have done. Just do something that shows, all right, we know Mirage is something. Let's do something with it. I'm just surprised they didn't touch it at all.
It's like, here's a deck that's been good, and you've said in the past that you don't like decks that are still good. Well, why is this deck that's still good still running around? You didn't hit it.
That deck has been around way longer than Jesmon's prime.
I think almost any deck, because Japan's on BT 18. Yeah. So they're 5 main sets and like 2 EX sets. So that's 7 total sets. And Mirage is still running around. No.
Since BT 11?
3 EX sets, maybe? I could be wrong. I don't remember. But like, what?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I really don't. That's the one thing I definitely wish for that didn't happen. That really just leaves me more of questioning like, why? Because I don't get it. Like, now that everything is hit, Mirage was a good deck, and now it's still a good deck.
I'm seeing the comment about this turn skip deck real quick. I'm gonna mention it with the Mirage loop thing. Like, it's good, it's cool, but like realistically, it's not consistent compared to what the original Galaxy loop was. Sure, you can do what you can do with it, but you need like 5-6 pieces of that. And if that includes swinging a 1K jamming dude, when Show the Mother comes around, that's irrelevant. Like, who cares? What are you going to do? Are you going to stand there? All right, cool. You're never going to do damage. Cool. You keep stealing turn back. You're never going to do damage. So, like, how are you winning at that point? You know what I'm saying? So, like, people are hyping up this Mirage loop thing. I don't think it's really consistent enough for it to be that viable. I mean, we'll see if someone wants to bring it to a regional and do things with it, but I really don't think. If you really want to play a Galaxy Mirage deck list play the actual deck and not a deck that's inconsistent, because the pieces that you need sometimes are one-ups in that deck, it seems like. So I don't think it's really that problematic. Again, if someone wants to top and win with it and prove us wrong when it comes to that deck, go ahead, do your thing with it, but it's not something I wouldn't even worry about.
I have no comments on that because I haven't looked at anything about it, so I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it either yet.
So like, I'll have.
If you infinite loop them and you don't do anything with it, what are you doing? Decking yourself out.
My only idea in my head on why they didn't hit Mirage is because they didn't hit Imperial, and they're expecting more people to play Imperial now because Pyldremon's stun effect to stop things from unsuspending, that is for everything. So you're not wrong. That stops burst mode from popping off and OTKing you, because
that is very true.
It can't just keep unsuspending you. A lot of people don't know that interaction, which is surprising to me. I've never really had a problem playing against Mirage.
Yeah, that's because you probably win in that same turn, you dirty motherfucker.
Bound security, what, Mirage? So like, if they have nothing on board, I guess.
What do you mean?
He says the loop bounces security to hand.
The problem is that deck needs a whole way more setup. You need like 5 cards specifically for it, and if one of them dies, you don't have the loop.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know anything about the loop. I'd have to look into that before we comment. So like, I'll look into it after, and probably next podcast we could talk about the loop a little bit more in depth. It'll probably be a good topic anyways. But as of right now, I mean, that's a non-factor. You know, what was hit, what wasn't hit. Mirage wasn't hit. So, and even if, I'll be honest, like as much as I want BT11 Mirage hit, if they do hit it, I don't think they're hitting BT11 Mirage. Their first SR hit was Anubis, and that's because they acknowledged that the shit was busted. And I think they're going to stray very, very far from trying to hit another SR. It's the same reason that Magna X would never get restricted, because they're trying their very hardest to not restrict another secret. So if they were to hit something in Mirage, it probably won't be either BT11 or burst mode. I feel like they'll probably hit a Thomas faster. I don't know.
Dumb.
It is dumb, but like Bandai logic, you know.
Bandai logic's a thing. The second or third place Mirage deck have one of each Thomas, and that was it.
That's crazy. That's so crazy.
So that really doesn't matter.
Literal Lucas says, if you use the trash 1 draw 2 egg, you draw 9 trash 4 just by building a stack and having it draw. You can draw 25% of your deck on turn 2 off 2 cards. Trash 8 won't fix that. That is true. I don't know. Also, Bandai has hit loops in the past. Why do you think they won't hit this one unless it's even more drink? That's another thing. And that was another point I wanted to make.
There is a Leonard loop. There's, your War Digimon and Dimension Scissors one. They haven't touched that yet.
Yeah, the green one.
There's been a loop in this game since like BT5 or BT6 with Whammon or something, right?
Yeah, Zudomon. Zudomon
and Blackboard Gray, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's an infinite memory gain loop.
Yeah, it's been around
so
forever.
I just want to say, when it comes to those loops, I wouldn't worry about the loop being a problem, because when this loop became a problem with Zubamon and the Tamers and everything, this was an emergency hit, and this was right before Nationals. So like, if for whatever reason that loop
this is like a becomes an issue loop or whatever, a 3-card loop,
and it is right. So it's inherently different, but also the point is, if a loop becomes a problem, they've shown that anything that is unintentional by their design standards, they'll hit if it needs to be hit promptly. So if this thing takes off with Mirage and whatever the fuck the loop facilitates, they'll hit it, but I don't think it won't happen unless it proves to be a problem. Mike, we're getting tokens in packs for EX7 according to the website. Ooh, heard you talking about it earlier, but I was driving. That's from Reinforced Junior. Ooh,
nice.
Look at you, Mike. Sweet. You're gonna get to draw your tokens now for Digimon.
I love it.
All right. So what I want to talk about now is cards that are restricted, that either people mentioned should come off, or that we think should come off, or won't come off.
Wait, really before we do that, I know someone mentioned Imperial skipping the ban list and it being best deck in format. Do we want to talk about that now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay, I'll talk about it. I think that maybe Imperial should have gotten hit, but I also think that Imperial just loses to its fucking self. So I don't know how much better it'll be than what it's currently at. Like, I think it's still one of the best decks in the format, but it's consistency.
Let me comment on this real quick. You know why Imperial didn't get hit? Because it is always the second best deck.
It's always the bridesmaid, not the broom, not the wife, whatever it's called, right? That's it.
It's always a fucking pain in the ass, but it's never good enough for Bandai to look at it and be like, maybe we should hit this deck.
Yeah,
it's done that 3 times to me. It terrorized me with its jamming ass in like BT4, BT5 era. It terrorized me when we got hybrid decks, and it's terrorizing me now. But it's good, but it's not going to be good enough where Bandai's like, maybe we should hit this deck. I feel like it's been the trend, and I feel like that's what it's gonna do.
Yeah.
Joe Mojo says, preach, it flies under the radar enough. It's so annoying because, like, on a personal level, it annoys the fuck out of me. Every time I get Imperial comboed, I'm like, why are you like this? This is so stupid. This is dumb. I don't understand it. This support is dumb. Like, it's so infuriating.
Yeah, I also.
But then it never wins. So
yeah, well, people play. I mean, it's gotten some. It got some.
It has recently, but you know,
I think that the other issue with it is that it is almost. It seems too straightforward to people, and they get locked into making really bad plays all the time. And it's weird to me. Like, I'll see other people play Imperial, and like, you guys gotta remind me, like, I this is like the only deck I play. Like, I'm fucking stupid. Like, this is the only deck I enjoy playing. So like, I'm like very like, I understand every interaction there is with this deck. And I see people make so many bad plays, and I'm like, I don't understand why you did that. Or like, people get really locked into like Davis and Ken, and like, let's say like anything happens to their Davis and Ken, they just are like, oh, I don't know how to progress. Bro, you can literally gain like 4 memories still in DNA at the end of the turn. Like, your entire, like, your game plan is still your game plan. Like, I don't, like, what are you doing, man? Like, so I think people
your Pyodramon has jamming, right? It has partition, right? Why aren't you swinging? Like, why did you DNA'd? Why are you thinking about swinging? You don't give a fuck what's on your opponent's board, except if it's a blocker. And even then, like against Magna X, you have outs. You could just not swing in Digivolve and just pass turn and be like, all right, swing, bitch. I threaten it. Matter of fact, you're at a level 5. You have 2 aces that you're playing, but
do you know how many people I've seen play Imperial? They do the DNA with Pyodramon. They have Piercing Stingmon from BT12, and they don't swing over the Digimon. Yeah, they just go for. I'm like, what are you doing? Clear the board, bro. Clear the board. Yeah. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's
don't get
actually
me started.
Crazy.
I know.
They forget that BT16 Pyodramon is like a literal, like,
it's a boss monster of itself.
Its effect is honestly, BT16 Pyodramon is one of the best level 5 cards we've ever gotten. It might be the best level 5 card we've ever gotten, period, in this entire fucking game.
Dorogray
is really good. It's at least the best blue level 5 card. I'll give you that. There are some other. Xavier. I think that Pyodramon is better than Pseudo Ace.
I think Pyodramon is definitely better than Pseudo Ace.
Pseudo Ace would have been the best blue level 5 ever printed. But the fact that BT16 can literally just be like, okay, you cannot unsuspend. So go ahead and attack me. You're not unsuspending. I don't care. Have fun. You can't blitz omni me. You can't OTK me. Have fucking. I do not care. Do whatever you get rid of my board. I don't care. Get rid of my board. I'll build it up next turn.
Get rid of my board. I have partition, bitch.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm surprised that it skipped the ban list, but I'm also not surprised.
I'm not surprised.
It's never gotten hit. I'm saying that, and then like a week later, they're gonna hit like every single card from the deck now. Watch, but
it also factors into my point of we should be trying to bring power level of decks down and not killing decks, but also with that in mind, like we know what's going to be the next set of good decks. But it also, because like so much was hit, it's okay. I mean, on Bandai's part, like obviously we know they're not giving us a ban list unless they absolutely have to for the next, probably until the next, till set unification. But hopefully, you know, if something proves to be a problem, they'll hit it. With that in mind, if I don't know. Like, we don't know what the meta. We know that Imperial is good. We know that Ancient Garurumon is good. We know people have to switch from red base to blue base. Does that mean that we know how the metas are going to play out? No. Dex is a very good deck. Takumi Kazuchi is stupid.
Oh,
Tyrant is good.
Yeah.
What else do we have? I mean, I could name a bunch of decks that are good, and I think enough
Magnamon
was
is still
hit.
a deck.
Yeah, Magnamon is still a deck. I think
Yume,
enough cards
still a
were
deck.
hit that it's like, all right, cool. We hit all the like definitely things that have shown to be problematic. Let's see what the next set of stuff does. Also, Ancient was never going to get hit. I just want to say that if they had such hesitation about hitting APOC in BT15, there's no way they were hitting. Whether it's Ancient or a support piece for Ancient, it wasn't getting hit this early. They're going to try to wait until at least we're unified before they start doing shit like that. All right, let's just make that straight.
Not necessarily true, Shady Water. It does affect it, but like there's still Tyrant players out there, though.
There are still.
Again, I've seen the meta snapshots recently, especially in Gen Con. There was a few Tyrants that topped. It's not like,
but it definitely
just slowed
it does
down.
make your life harder. But
again,
how the
Izzy
big
is
thing
important.
to consider, a big thing to consider that I don't think enough people do think about is Numamon was such a large part of the pie chart, just as Magna X was. Like blue base Magna X, I'm sure that had a lot of representation, but how many, like, what are you facing? People could go and not face Numamon or not face Magna X or not face Imperial or not play this deck. Half the game is RNG. How many players are going to switch to Ancient Guru and Imperial? How much are those decks going to get matched up? Like the game is half matchup, half deck, right? Like essentially is what it boils down to. So your worst matchup as Tyrant is obviously Imperial. How much Imperials are you going to play against that you're just like, fuck, I can't win? I fucking somehow won with Examon when I thought my worst matchup was Black or Gray, and I played against Black or Gray and somehow came out of that match. Vandus was also a very sketchy matchup. Shut up, Dan. I hate you. I hate you. I'll always hate you for that.
Is your weak point because All Force was bouncing shit with no problem.
All Force was around at the time, yeah. So All Force is a problematic matchup. I don't think I played against All Force, right?
You did.
So
it's like skirt the All Force matchup.
So like the game is matchups. My local Tyrant player talks about how sad he is ever to face Imperial. Hey, and it's gonna happen. He's gonna play Imperial. You know, you're gonna play against this deck or that deck, and you also might not. You might not.
That's why I say Izzy is super important in that deck, and people who play less than like 4, I think, is like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Imperial is just a mean strip your redirect source, stun your Izzy, go fuck yourself. Yeah, it's pretty.
I mean, I do hate the power level of Davis and Ken, but
yeah, I mean, I think so. If they were ever to hit Imperial, and maybe they will if more people. So I think another reason they didn't hit Imperial is BT18 format they're on right now. Less people are playing Imperial now than I think ever were before.
Yeah,
at least from what I've seen, I don't know if that's actually true. I'm not a JP player, but from like the things I've seen on Digimon Meta, from random JP meta reports, less people are playing Imperial than they ever have been. Do these hits mean that more people play Imperial? I don't know. We'll see. But if they were to hit
we
cards,
have to see.
I have 2 cards they would probably, I could imagine hitting. Davis and Ken is the very obvious choice. I think most people will agree with me on. The sleeper choice is actually Return to Primogenitor, I think that's the sleeper choice. It's played at like I see most people play it around 3, and I think that card could just go to 0 if they ever did decide to hit it. But I think that actually just makes the deck more fair. Even though Davis and Ken is what everyone thinks, I think if they were to hit something, I think Primogenitor is the sleeper pick. Being able to save your Paildramon stack or Imperial stack.
You already have Partition. Like,
yep, it's fucking.
Why
stupid.
did you need this?
I don't know. I mean, as an Imperial player, I don't know why they did that, but I'm happy. But yeah, I think that Primogenitor is the sleeper pick for the ban list, though. Honestly, if they ever did hit it, I don't know if they would.
Yeah, we'll see.
Only time will tell.
Gabu X, this card should never come off. The reason this card should never come off is because it's an unhealthy card regardless. It doesn't matter if Guru's doing anything. It's an unhealthy card. Let's compare. Gabu X is inheritable. When this Digimon with Garurumon or Omnimon's name would be deleted in battle, you bottom deck 2 cards from your trash to prevent that deletion. The Agu X of the same type, like the same idea what they were going for, has the bottom deck an X antibody from source. That means if you don't have another X antibody, you're fucked. That means as long as you have cards in source for this, between this and Gururu X, you're probably not dying that turn. Like, come on now. This card's not coming off for protection, but also because it's a very good consistency card that is facilitating grabbing any piece in your deck as well as trashing a card. Dumb. It's literally a grab too, because it's grab Gururu or X antibody in name. So it grabs almost every card in the deck, including itself, because X antibody, and then it also gets to trash a card if you added a card on play and when digivolving. That's probably never coming off.
I also want to interject. That is such a clear, like, people talk about power creep in this game. That is the most clear example I've ever seen of power creep in a fucking card game ever. Why that card needed that inheritable, I will never understand. Like, I just do not understand why that needed the same exact inheritable as the group. Like, what the actual fuck was
Walker
that?
said, why compare to Agu X? They're from different eras. The reason we compare to Agu X is because just as we had BT9, Agu X, Gabu X, there was a new Agu X made in BT11 for a black or gray deck. And this is the new Gabu X made for a purple predominant based Gururumon deck. So it was made for it was supposed to be made for two separate decks. And so you have to compare them because they both have inheritables as well as on plays and when digivolving. They're inherently the same card, just with obviously the different sets of effects.
Because when it comes to Agu X, he says every searcher adds 2 and doesn't add. It's not the point of adding 2. Those 2 added are very restricted in comparison to this. Agu X could only grab a Greymon card and a card
Black
with a
Tamer,
Black
right?
Tamer. You're not adding any X antibody card you want. You're not adding anything. This card lets you grab anything. It doesn't have to be a Garurumon. It's just X antibody in the name. So you can add, you could throw this in anything that has X antibody stuff and you just add it. It doesn't matter. And then the heritable is just way more better. And being able to trash another card after you add 2, it's so good for your deck style of the game, which is pretty crazy.
Leviamon was a big one about that.
Yeah.
It's also a blue-purple rookie, which kind of matters, but it doesn't. I don't know. It depends on like what you're playing.
No, that mattered because Agu X only being black made it so you couldn't play a lot of the red Greymon. That mattered
right.
a lot.
Yeah, that is true too. Yeah, right. I didn't think about that point. If this was pure purple, I'd have less issues with it. And it probably wouldn't have been as big an issue, but because it buffed up blue base so much with what blue base was capable of. I mean, people played purple for this set and then they switched back to playing blue base. But this card's power, I mean, let's look at why they hit it, right? In a Gururumon deck, this card offers both higher consistency and speed, as well as the inherited granting a protection effect that makes it difficult for opponents to respond from the beginning of the game.
Do you know what else was always really stupid I thought about this card? Why it didn't need the X antibody for the inheritable to matter. Like,
right.
The Agu X from BT11 needed the X antibody to protect itself. This was just like, just return, just do something you want to do. 2 things from trash
that your deck is facilitating, which is the point.
So fucking, this card.
Commandramon searches 5 and has
inheritable.
Omni
if this card didn't have an
inherited.
inheritable, I don't think it would have ever been hit. That inheritable is just so fucking ridiculous.
So Commandramon searches 5 and has an Omni protection that requires you to have another Digimon in play that you can just target the other Digimon for. Or if Red is always going to be around, right? Red as a deck. Crimson Blaze, if D-Boys ever gets popular, red decks just play Crimson Blaze. I mean, that's what Red Base Ancient was doing. It's like, oh, cool, you've got all those bodies. Free Crimson Blaze, pop all your bodies, and you can't play things out by effect now. And then I'm just going to get rid of your stack, and now you've got no bodies for me to thing.
Yeah. I mean, also just the ability of what Gabumon does, and all right, let me swing a bunch of times. Let's look at what these cards are meant to do, right? An APOC or any purple deck that was using these cards, right? Let me get to my Wereguru, swing a fucking million times, trash a bunch of cards, and then protect itself a million times, and just get your opponent down really low for my finishers. This is completely different than Commandramon, which was just let me play a million bodies out. Like these are stack decks, not go wide decks.
And yes, it searches 5 and lets you put things back to top or bottom, but it searches 5, grabs 1, then you need to digivolve for the next thing. It's a very combo heavy deck. I'm not saying that's a reason that like the card shouldn't be looked at getting hit, but like there's inherent counterplay to a D-Boy style of deck that if it ever gets popular, Crimson Blaze, Dexmon, anything that touches anything that goes wide. Whereas this is just like, oh, cool. I trashed a card off of Gabu. Then I'm going to go into like Garuru, trash some more cards. I can take a free swing, go into Rare Garuru, unsuspend, or in the case of other decks that can utilize it like Leviamon, I can search out Levi X. I'm not saying that that's an issue, but I mean, that's the reason that they said it was hit because it's versatile. Grabbing Levi X, Waro Seedramon X, and being able to facilitate your trash that you need for Leviamon as well as just being good generically. This Gabu X into Garuru X set up its protection with little counterplay. Exactly. This was a trash 1, Garuru X trashed 2. So that's 3 cards. I guarantee you can probably get a 4th card in trash easy, especially if you're playing purple base because it's a draw 1 trash 1. So you've now got 4 cards in trash. So you can do Inheriteds twice. That's why, in my opinion, Gabu X never comes off.
Yeah, we're also forgetting that this is an X antibody, so it's a Gabu X that was on top of a rookie that also had an inheritable.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we need to talk about it anymore. That card's never coming off.
Same thing, but the same logic applies for Garuru X, because it's even worse in that aspect. It's got the same protection. Dan remembers. Remember when I saw the Gabu X, I was like, okay, that seems fair. I hope Garuru X doesn't do the same thing. And Dan said, I don't know why you think they wouldn't do the same thing. And I was like, I have some level of copium. And then they revealed it and it did the same thing. And I was like, wow, that's pretty fucking good. And look at them now. They're on the ban list because the inherited effect was good. Like Mike said, you don't even have to have like X antibody in source. Like,
nothing.
It's literally just, I've got cards in trash. Bottom deck, prevent deletion.
I'm a Garurumon. I have protection now.
Yeah, like come on. And then the draw 2 trash 2 is one thing, but then it also gains a memory for having either Garuru or X anti in source.
Like even Agumon, whose inheritable protection was insane for BT9. I mean, Garurumon BT, like the Gabu X line in BT9 was also insane. But you had to return Gar. Like, I have to get rid of my inheritables for this to matter.
Yeah, exactly. You purge out a stack and okay, it's like cool. At least if I could try to whittle away your stack, Yeah. And so we're going to skip over Anubis because I want to jump straight to wherever he is. Greymon X is here somewhere. Where the hell is Greymon X?
Down.
There he is. Greymon X Antibody. So this is a card a lot of people, including myself, Dan, possibly Mike, we wanted off the ban list. I think, personally, this restriction list cements that Greymon X is never coming off the ban list.
Agreed.
And let me explain why. They say the effect of reducing the cost when digivolving from this into a Greymon basically does it too efficiently because you can do it for 1 or 0, depending on what you're digivolving into, accelerating the speed at which the deck reduces opponent's security, blah, blah, blah. They cited inherited, but I think this is a very fair protection effect. Because you have to bottom deck an X antibody from its source, which means if it's still your opponent's turn, 2 things is all it takes. You can try to like delete it once and then boom, delete it again, it's gone because you don't have that protection effect from this source. Protoform requires you to digivolve into an X antibody to tuck it in source. So you can't even put Protoform in source without digivolving. And on top of that, if the Protoform inherit triggers at the same time as this, you can only do 1. If Protoform goes to security, there's nothing to bottom deck, your stack is gone. If you resolve this first, you don't get the Protoform effect. So this requires you to use the old X antibody. And so in my mind, that makes that fair. Why this card is limited and why it will stay limited is because of its main effect. When it would digivolve into a Greymon, you reduce the cost by 1 for each of its colors. That means any 2-cost color Greymon they come out with will always digivolve for 1, which is really good. But it's also something that they acknowledge they don't really want in the game. Rise Greymon, the one for Shine that plays out a Marcus, plays a Tamer, and then you can tap that if you have the right Marcus, you can tap it, gain a memory, So it'd be a 2-cost Digivolve. The other one from BT12 gains a memory if you have a Rise Grain source. Or sorry, if you have a Tamer in play. So that also Digivolves for 2. So those things, I mean, they don't even Digivolve for 1, they're Digivolving for 2. I think with stuff like outside of like hybrid decks, because of like the old Beowulf and the Alderman that can Digivolve for 1. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess you don't really have another way to Digivolve for 1 into Ultimates outside of Wisdom, outside of Training Boost. So I think that's like the biggest thing for them. They don't really, Cliff, shout out to Cliff, our boy Cliff. Cliff said basically it's not a power scale issue, it's a design issue. They don't want to think about this card when they're designing future support, which is, it's fair. Shady says very versatile. No, wrong one. He doesn't want to leave now that his buddy Kruax is with him. It's let's see. Literal Lucas says a 2-cost or 1-cost Evo isn't strong nowadays. It's the norm. Started a Garomon. Yeah, but started a Garomon also costs 3 to Digivolve or 5 to play.
Hey, so is this
Walker. Yeah, but you could Digivolve for 0 on a Greymon. Walker says until we hit 3 color metal grays. Entirely plausible. Ruin Mode Turbo would be so good again if this gets unlimited. Yeah. Yeah, you could play it and that would be a thing. This card is hit and this card will stay hit. We can say what we want about the power level of the card. We may think right now it's not an issue, and that's true. I do think power level wise, this card is not an issue right now. But I think for Bandai,
to be fair, I thought before the cross
the new cross
releases,
support,
I thought cross 4 could maybe come off. I was like, yeah, it could come off. Absolutely the fuck not now. I want to erase my digital footprint of me ever saying this card can come off the list.
So let's talk about cross 4 real quick, right? So it says due to its effect that allows it to reuse, that allows the reuse of cards required for an end of attack Digicross. This card can be used for a string of repeated attacks at a low cost just by having multiple copies in a player's hand. Its on play also gives it a stronger than intended advantage because remember, its on play is draw 2. I feel like enough people don't think about that. It's just, so it plays for 1 to draw 2 with Rush from Shoutmon, which mind you, you now have 12 Shoutmon, 12 Rush inheritables. You're not playing all 12 most likely, but you have 12. It's very easy for this to have. Remember when we wanted Rush Shoutmon to be hit?
I remember.
And now we have 12 of them. They just reprinted it 8 cost with no on player end of attack. Exactly. They reprinted the moment that we saw Cross 4 in the reveals. I knew this card wasn't coming off because they were like, here's the new one. You're not getting back the old one. And to be fair, this old one is crazy. Again, draw 2, end of attack, place its source under, and restand a tamer. By placing all Digi-Evolution cards from this Digimon under one of your tamers, unsuspend one of your tamers. That's crazy good. Yeah.
Yeah, no need
I know
for
Mike
come back next.
Yeah. Yep. That's it. That's all. Yep.
I know Mike at one point. I mean, just what was it like 3 weeks ago? You made the point for it to come off. We agreed. We were like, all right, like
Look,
I see where you're coming from.
I was convinced by other people. They had convinced me. At first, I was like, nah, Cross4 can never come off. That card's too good. And then I was slowly whittled away by people telling me that it could come off. And I was like, all right, I've changed my opinion. I think it could come off now. And I was proven wrong again on why it should never have fucking came off ever. Yeah, fuck that card.
It's because let's look at it this way. What stops Crossheart decks from literally saying that same exact thing? All they need is one tamer. They dump their hand for source, put this under, swing. You're getting a security neg from the Darulumon, and even if it dies, it has the material saved. You could just save the Shoutmon, use more sources. You could literally just keep doing the same thing. Play for 1, swing. Oh, I didn't die. Cool. Delete self, play another one, swing. Like that's what cross decks were doing. There's a reason that Venusmon at the time was so good because you give it sec -1, then they can't OTK you with that. This card was never. Oh shit! Oopsie days. Got so excited there. This card wasn't that. There was a point in time we thought it would be okay. They revealed the new stuff, and now it's sure as hell not okay. So this card stays on the ban list. Greymon X is on the ban list. So I can tell you, this card is here forever. We'll get to Dorogray in just a second. And obviously Calling is there forever. Greymon X is a design issue. It's there forever.
Never coming back next.
I guess Grand Kuwagamon's never coming back. That's never coming back.
Next.
That's never coming back.
Never
this
coming
is
back.
never coming back.
Never coming back.
This might come back, but I think the chances are slim.
I don't even know if I'm going to be honest. If that card came back, I don't even think it would do. Bloom would still be irrelevant.
Right, but I think like this is like another like design issue thing. They don't want to think about free Digivolves. So I think that stays there.
Yeah.
Scroll down a bit here. Sunrise.
No.
Never.
Nope.
Never, ever, and forever will this card ever see the day of light again, except that one.
Never.
The new cross support allowing them to play their tamers for free is accelerating them enough for oh gosh, you can't type and I can't speak. Cross 4 also draws 1 on attack. Oh, that's right. There's an inherited that does that. Yeah. It's Cross 4 is never coming back. Dorogray.
No,
I know a lot of people want Dorogray to come back. Let me tell you why Dorogray is never coming back. Because the exact reason that they stated, multiple copies can easily be placed at the bottom Digi-Evolution card by other effects to gain Sec +1.
Yeah, fuck that card.
If it didn't have this inherited, this card would have came back. Because sure, I mean, it's definitely a very powerful effect to not be deleted or DP reduced. The inherited is why this card isn't coming back. Because of that Sec +1. I mean, look at the other cards that are still here because of Sec +1. It's
also not some random niche card from a random niche deck. It's a card from a decks that keep getting support. Alphamon's going to keep getting support. We just got new Doru support. We just got new deck support.
Yeah, you damn right. I'd played at least 3 of this in Dex Doru, the Dex Doru Goromon if I could. I only have 1 right now and I'm just like, it's okay. I don't need to play it. But if I had more, Alpha would be right back in the meta. I think Lychee would just be like, oh, I'm eating, you know?
I agree that Alphamon would be right back in the meta.
Lychee would be like, I'm eating, boys.
That deck fits the requirements. Like that deck checks a lot of boxes to be a meta deck if this was back at 4. Fast, mana manipulation, memory manipulation, and OTK. No thank you.
Okay, fine. If my boy ain't coming back, then give me a black one and an LM set, you cowards. They did. They gave you the BT13 one. It may not be what we want, but it is something, unfortunately. I agree. I'd like something better than that Dorogray for Alphamon, but until we get our next wave of Alphamon support. This card! As a former Yellow Hybrid player and a former Yellow enjoyer, just like how Mike feels about Cross 4, I feel the same way about Jetsophie. I'm so glad that this card is limited because when Ancient Garuru does their stupid fucking shit and they Digivolve into this card for free, they get that free recovery. They have jamming on their fucking swing. And I'm just like, okay, cool. And then they go into fucking Ancient Garuru and they bounce my shit. They bounce my security. I'm just like, why did I ever want this card to come back? I already hate you seeing this shit at 1. Let alone if you had a reason to play 4 of this motherfucker. Nah, Jetsophie, it's here forever. I feel like this is a card that's forever staying on the ban list. Yeah, fuck hybrid decks. EX2 Imp stays on the list and Bandai gives the deck next to nothing since the deck got like 2 months in English. Meanwhile, most of the decks, these other cards.
Bro, Biosmon's getting support now.
Yeah, we still haven't seen the Impmon. So when we see the Impmon, we'll know what's up. Tommy we already knows off. MDF, yeah, reinforcing Ice Wall.
Nope.
HP to 0, HP to 0, HP to 0, HP to 0.
Dan would probably say HPD is the limit that he'll never get.
Oh, and I'd agree. 100%. That card is never gonna go to 0 because goddamn green is not good enough for them to be like time to put it to 0.
Let's just fuck the whole meta up. Let's put MDF to 1.
And the last card, Eismon. Dan wanted this card, not wanted, but Dan said this card could come off. And I said, absolutely not, because they're bringing out a new scatter mode. The entire reason they hit this was because using This in tandem with scatter mode, obviously as it was intended, makes it easier to cycle through your deck while playing Digimon to your battle area for free. If we weren't getting a new scatter mode, it might be a little bit different, but we're getting a new scatter mode. Purple is always going to do draw trash shenanigans. Eismon, unfortunately, Purple enjoyers, Eismon is probably a permanent mainstay because that to just it doesn't even, it's not even like if it was a hard once per turn, it'd be different. It's literally like, oh, cool. Like let's say I'm doing a total like draw 4, trash 2. If you trash 2 Eismon, you could just play out 2 Eismon. And in today's meta, we have, am I right to say 1 purple ace? we only have 1 purple ace.
No, we have 3. We have 3.
What are they?
Myoto's ace. You have Metal Guru ace, and then Grand Quag ace.
Level 5, I mean, level 5.
Okay,
so
just 1.
We only have 1 viable, but I mean, playing out a level 4 for free and being able to play out 2 and then be like, haha, I might have Myoto's ace in hand. Like, we don't want, I'm sure Bandai wouldn't want to facilitate anything that could make aces more toxic than some people consider that they are. I want to say, I think aces are perfectly fine, but that is all the cards on the list. What's our last comments we have here? Purple and black got shafted when it comes to level 5 aces. Absolutely. I hate that we get Cyberdramon in frickin' December. Bandai seems afraid to allow a yellow control deck to ever be best deck in format. I think they prefer new players to have easy wins with aggro decks. Yeah, I think yellow as a color is very easy to snowball and make it very toxic. I mean, we saw it in Armor Vaccine, right? So, I mean, I think it's a fair thing to think about. You don't want decks that are like completely toxic. In my opinion, Vaccine Armor is like super toxic. I hated that deck. Dino B? What about Dino B? Ice has a lot less chance of being released after EX7 since Heavy Metal Dramon can easily spam scatters. Fair point. Didn't consider that. Ibanu Ace, another purple ace. Level 6 though, but yeah. Hopefully at some point we get more level 5 aces, but because of that, like Eismon just isn't coming back. Anyways, we're gonna start wrapping up because wow, longest pod ever.
Yeah.
Parting comments. I don't know. I guess my parting comments is I think this was a very good ban list. There was no aversion to hitting shit outside of Mirage, which I just won't understand. Dino B ace is purple. Dino B has an ace coming. I don't recall.
No, I don't think they have an ace.
There's no Dino B ace.
Yeah, I don't recall. Or unless you're thinking about Grand Kuwagamon, like Dan said. I don't recall a Dino B ace though.
Yeah, there's, as far as I know, I've never seen a Dino Beamon ace ever.
I feel like Greymon is hurt from the fact that they don't know what to do with it. Like Garurumon has basically always had a goal, but Greymon is just scattered. Almost every Garurumon is better than Greymon. Yeah, I mean, Garurumon was always just, let me just do some stupid OTK shenanigans. And Greymon has 2 different archetypes, but because they're Greymons, like it's very easily intertwined. You're right, just Grand. Okay, yeah, Grand Kuwagamon. That's why I'm excited for the next wave of Greymon support to come because I want to see like where they take Greymon as an archetype. Because it really is open for anything.
That BT14 like support was trash outside of Agumon. And the War Gray was good, but like the Metal Gray and the Greymon were just so terrible that like it just didn't matter. And the tie was trash too, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that tie is horrible.
It's because the BT11 tie was so fucking good. And
it was black, and we don't have a good black base to run because they hit the Greymon X, so there's no reason because now you have a red gray. Like
that deck also just suffers from the Imperial problem. I think at this point, where the best cards from both color, like they're not dual colors. Like I need black tie, so I can't run a red training boost. But if I'm playing the OTK version, then I need the security +1 Greymon, which is only red. Like the colors just don't work right now. It's fucked.
Absolutely. Secret Greymon is a good staple for the next wave of dedicated Greymon support in the future. Absolutely, I think that's definitely going to be at least like 2 or 3 of. Because you're probably going to run your Greymon X, you'll run that, and then whatever the new Greymon is.
That card outside of the Agumon is not searchable by like training boost.
Yeah, that would be the biggest issue. But, you know, to be seen, whatever they decide to do with it. My parting comments is, I wish people wouldn't be, like, I say this as a card game player, that I hate card game players, and I only hate card game players because you can never please them all. Like, realistically, like it really is a case of like you're never going to be able to please everybody. People are going to be upset that their decks were hit. People are going to be upset that certain decks weren't hit enough. Yada yada yada. It is what it is. This was a good ban list to reset the meta and give us a new fresh thing. Yes, Ancient's going to be good. Yes, Imperial is going to be good. But there are a ton of other. It's not just those two decks. There are going to be a ton of other decks that are good, and we have seen other decks come to light that people haven't thought about before after the ban list. I mean, look at BT15. They hit the Kings in APOC, Melga, and what's it called? Anubis. And we had a completely open meta. We know Ancient Guru was going to be good. We know Imperial is going to be good, but it's entirely possible that other decks come up and are good as well. We just need to wait. It's okay to hit some cards as long as we're taking care of like the majority of issues, and then come around and revisit. My biggest thing for Bandai would just be more consistent, more proactive ban lists, so that if a problem is identified, all right, cool, we know that, hey, we're gonna, do another ban list. I'm sorry, but like, here's this card hit in a month or something like that. So also, we didn't get hoed with Bandai only banning one card. Remember that? That was funny as fuck.
God, I was so mad about that.
Very happy that they hit multiple cards after announcing the ban list. Exactly. Multiple decks were hit. Multiple cards in the deck was hit. It wasn't just like, we're going to hit this one card, like we're going to hit Numa X and hope it's not a problem. No. Ukomon, Numa X, Louis, like, yeah. When they only hit Greymon X, everyone was heated. Exactly. Maybe the Garnet boost will help. It will. The only problem with Garnet boost is it's like a memory boost, so it doesn't grab Tamers, unfortunately. Because I think it only still grabs Digimon cards. So it's like, damn, I still can't grab one of the best cards in the deck in that BT11 tie efficiently. But yeah, that's like my parting words and comments. Card game players will never be pleased. I think this was a good, solid, not like a, oh my goodness, like this was a perfect ban. It was a good, solid ban list. It does enough, and that's honestly, for everything considered, all we can ask for until we're unified. Then we can start being a little bit more critical. But this was a good step forward. Boys, parting words.
Yeah, this is probably like 8 out of 10 ban list for me. For it hit a lot of decks you needed. Moving forward, let's see what becomes the king of the format, and then we'll go from there. And if it's something if that loop deck is like really toxic, they'll probably hit it then at that point, but I'm not too worried about that. I'm excited to see what comes out of this. I think a lot of decks get boosted now that maybe weren't like even not thought of, but like maybe they weren't as competitive just because those other decks were just like kings of the formats, Excited to see. I think we're back to where like the start of our BT15, where we're like, we just don't know what's going to be like the best decks, what's the main decks are going to be of the format. So that's pretty good to see.
Absolutely. Mike?
Same thoughts. I also like to say, for the people that think that these random jank decks are going to be able to have a better place in the meta now, and you're going to be upset because Magnamon is still a giant wall that's going to fuck you over if you can't get over it. Blue base is still around. Numa is going to be around. Mirage is still going to decay you. Like, you still have to play these more competitive decks, although the meta does open up. I'm excited to see what happens. We have 2 regionals coming up in the next few weeks. Niagara Falls is the 31st. When's Dallas?
Like, I think it's the week after, I'll be honest.
Okay, so
yeah, it's the week after.
Within 3 weeks, we have 2 regionals coming up, so that'll be really fun to see what ends up topping. We have some friends going to both those regionals, I think. So I think some of you guys are even going to those regionals. So I'm excited to see what you guys end up playing, what ends up topping. It's a free format right now. I don't think that there's a deck I can say this is the best deck in the format. Play this. Like, it's open and free. Have fucking fun.
Yeah, I agree. Chaos Tamer said, I think it's less about pleasing anyone and making sure everyone still has something they love and they can still play and achieve their goals with the game. Exactly, bro. Why are we gonna, like, people do enjoy, like, I know I said that people don't enjoy playing Numa. I really was only saying, I was really targeting just like the people who were playing it because it was good, but there are people who enjoy Numamon. There are people who enjoy Imperial. I mean, look at Mike. Mike enjoys Imperial. There's so many people who enjoy Imperial. Why should we set out to absolutely nerf decks into the ground when it really should be about, like you said, making sure everybody can play? Should some decks have been hit? Maybe, but we'll see. That's okay. It's not like this was the be all end all. The only problem is that, Bandai won't give us another Vandals probably until unification, but
one more comment though, as well. And this is why I'm glad that ban lists aren't by the people, because if it was by people's choice, this ban list would be ridiculous. And I'm glad that, Bandai does. I think Bandai does a really good job with their ban list. Sometimes they're late. Sometimes they're late with their ban list, but
or they don't hit enough.
Yeah, or they don't hit enough. And I think it just shows in it, because you know how many times we've seen people talk about what do they want hit? It's like, bro, why are we hitting Magna X? Why are we hitting such things? So I think it's people always want to
get rid of Magna X. How do I get rid of it?
Exactly. So I'm I'm glad that Bandai does their own due diligence and does what they need to do and is correct.
Somehow.
Certain decks maybe
I wish they would do that with
and get touched up as much, or the Mirage thing, which I'm very surprised by Mirage not getting touched up. But we'll see what happens. Maybe they think that Mirage ain't shit or something low key, and we just think it's Mirage is doing what Mirage is supposed to be doing. That's why they think it's okay. I don't know, but hey. We'll see what happens, right?
Yeah. Damn, I'm the only DGU member farming results. Rip. Yes, Gino, you're the consistent DGU member. Barney said, fuck that shit, I'm out. Shady says, oh yeah, we the people who bring out the pitchforks. Go after any deck that's over 20% play rate. Yo, that's a fact. Yeah. Literally, people are like, oh my goodness, did you see how many tops this deck had? Hit it. Ha!
Yeah.
Like the people saying that we should hit 7 Great Demon Lords. Ha!
Yeah, that was a weird take. I was like 7 Great Demon Lords. What the fuck?
And Tesmic says EX7 being straight after this list should add a heap of freshness. I agree. I really, really hope that it gives the EX7 decks at least some limelight. Like I said, I know Imperial and Ancient are still going to be good decks, as well as Dex and Tyrant and other ones and Magna. But I really do hope that it does allow some decks to flourish, because I look forward to every single EX7 deck. I really have a lot of hope for it. Anyways, it is 3 hours. Thank you guys for tuning in to the live ban list reaction to the longest DGU podcast ever.
Oh, damn,
it was a great time. 250 what?
2 hours and 50 minutes is podcast.
3 hours actually, because you cut off at the 10-minute mark.
Oh yeah.
So this is a 3-hour pod, the longest podcast ever. Thank you guys for tuning in. The people would likely vote for people with design skills to a board that could choose that would be the most ideal thing. But even then, I feel like them it feels like politics, right? We're going to elect the board of representatives to represent us, and then the board of representatives chose something that we didn't like, so we're upset with the board of representatives. There's always going to be anger somewhere. Let's go green burbs and yellow puppets. Yeah, Phoenix Mon, another good deck I think that people are sleeping on as well. Yeah, anyways, yes, thanks for a fun stream. Have a good night, day for us. Have a good night to anybody who is nighttime. Have a good day for anybody who is daytime. We're going to get on out of here. Thank you guys for watching and listening, always supporting us. This podcast is going live on Spotify. If you're listening, obviously it's live already, but live on Spotify tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to edit it. I'll be honest. I'm trying not to do too much work because I'm moving. So you guys are going to see a lot of shit change, but yada, 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 blah, 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 whatnot and so forth. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of DigiPod, the digital podcast. And so until we talk to you guys the next time, peace out.
Peace.
Catch you on the next one.